Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. My name is Clay. The guy on the other side of the mic is...
I'm Corey.
Corey's over there. We're across the internet. He's not in my basement for once. I can't get you over here anymore.
Well, dude, like, it's weird. I just don't want to go over there. No,
that's fine. and the truth comes out. No, it's fine. I see how it is, you fucker.
I was oddly busy, like caught up, like being proactive around my own house, like going, like, yeah, I probably should just go ahead and take care of that since I have all of this abundance of time now. True, and then there was like, I think one of the times where I thought you had something and I had something on the same evening, so I was like, okay, cool, like no big deal. But it turned out it was like Saturday and Sunday were like, it wasn't the same night. So like when you were like messaged me like, hey man, we can go to a movie, like record, hang out, because I got home early from dinner. I was like, dude, I am so fucking full right now. Like everything you're saying sounds like a great idea, but I'm like in the perfect spot of like television, video games, and being absolutely full of like just shitty fried food, and not to the point where I'm sick. Like I'm like, I nailed it. Like I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, once you said that like you had eaten and you were full and like happy and not about to die, I was like, nah, dude, you just ride that shit out, because like that never happens to you. And with your stomach issues, it's just like, nah, I can't. I was like, if you feel great, dude, enjoy it. Write it out, have fun. Yeah, I was not bugging you after that point. You also thought it was a different day of the week. You were like, isn't it Saturday? I was like, no, dude, it's Friday.
Yeah, I really did, dude. That whole day I thought it was Saturday, man. Like, and the funny part is in my head I was like, yeah, I worked. Like I knew what I did that day, but I just still couldn't like shake it felt like Saturday feeling. And then just finally in the evening, like it finally clicked over and I was like, holy fuck, it's not Saturday. And then you told me, and I was like, it's been reaffirmed. It is most certainly not Saturday. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's the best type of time travel. It's the one where like you go back and now it's Friday. You're like, and the weekend starts again.
Yeah, I was like, man, I've been really accomplished today, but yet I felt like it was a Saturday. I was like, awesome. That's great.
Yeah. That's good. Nothing much going on over here. Spent the day at King's Dominion with the boy. So
yeah, that's like your guys' new thing.
Well, we have season passes, so it's like, okay, now that all the travel for the summer's done and the park is still open for a few more months, we're just going to go every Sunday, just call it a day. So that's just kind of like, as long as he doesn't do anything to lose it during the week, nice. Discipline-wise. It's like, hey, don't forget, man, you're going to King's Dominion on Sunday. Yeah, so it was...
I love how your ginger ash is like, hey, man, I'm going to go fuck around in the sun for like 9 hours every Sunday now. Like, you're in a constant battle with, do I have enough sunblock on, and will the sun murder me today?
Right. Do I have my full brim hat? Do I have my layer of sunscreen? This 1 hour chunk I need to make sure I reapply every hour. Yeah, exactly. It's an endless fight being the vampire ginger that I am. And then on top of it all, we actually did like the water park section today, because why would I ever go in the water in the sun? Why would I take a shirt off or anything? So we like did all that today, and I was like,
that's when you just buy one of those like surf shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of those like they're not like neoprene, but they're like that sunblock like
my boy has like the shirt and the shorts that are like all the same thing. It's like all the same type of material.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got one. I was like, God, I kind of need one of those shirts, except like I need something form-fitting on my fat ass.
Well, that's true. That's true. Like I can get away with it still. Like I'm all right, but I'm also just like sickly skinny, so it's not like it's not like yeah, man.
You're not bragging.
Check out my 6-pack underneath all this. Nah, dude. Like I can just still fit into a medium sometimes, and like in a large very easily.
Yeah, yours isn't check my 6-pack. It's why don't you count my ribs?
Right.
So if this is your first time finding us, welcome. It'll probably get weirder before it gets better. So, if this is not your thing, just shut it off now. We already got the download count.
As if you can't tell, we're both physically flawed humans.
Exactly. Aren't we all? Aren't we all, though? But yeah, you can find our podcast over at twodadsreview.com. From there, you've got links to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, all the places you can find us. And, of course, you can listen to all the podcasts there on our site from the Audio Boom app, all that good stuff. You can also go over to youtube.com/2dadsreview and find us over there. And that's pretty much us. I've got a few things. So right now we are currently in our 5-part Best of Horror by Corey segments that are leading us into the next season of American Horror Story, which is American Horror Story Apocalypse. And last week we did our review of Evil Dead 2 because why wouldn't we? Because it's a fantastic movie, a fantastic series. And so this week we have Corey has chosen for us Black Christmas, which not the 1974 version, but the 2006 version. But we're not going to go there yet, but I want to let you know what's happening the rest of this episode later on. But first, we're going to talk about a couple things. The first thing is what I've been watching for the past weeks, thanks to you, sir. And that is a little show called Letterkenny.
Oh, God, it is so fucking good.
If you have Hulu, if you don't have Hulu, we do not promote finding it alternative methods, but it's worth the look for.
Just go download like a VPN and just go hit a Canadian server real quick, get a Crave TV subscription, and go watch all 5 fucking seasons of it, because these guys are
tell
fantastic.
The basis. Tell the plot. Letterkenny is a fictional town in Canada. Yeah. Like a farming community, a farming town.
Basically. And then it's just a group of farmers and their like day-to-day stories kind of thing. Like, I don't know how to describe it, dude. Like, it is okay. Here's the way to describe it. Think of your favorite TV show and probably how you're like, man, every one of those people that was casted plays that character perfect. Like, you just couldn't imagine someone else acting these parts. That is how this show is, because everybody is such a unique, wonderful creation that's a character that no other person could play them. And they're like, and it's one of those shows where you watch it and you go, not only is that funny, but I just wish like I could be part of it somehow. Like, right. I just want to be there with them. Like, they make me feel good.
And on top of it, of the actor, no other actor playing that part, there's a lot of the characters in this show that are types of characters I've never seen before. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't see, like, the way the comedy is presented to you, the way, like, the main character, like, all of the way he stands and talks. I mean, everybody knows, like, the Canadian accent that whenever you see, like, Super Troopers 2, you know, you have, like, the Canadian accents going. Anything that deals with that, you have the Fargo, kind of like that northern, you know, accent going. These characters are above and beyond everything you've ever seen Canada-wise, and it's literally the greatest thing I've ever put my eyes on. Yeah, dude, like, it makes me really wonder if I could go back to Canada now. You hope so. You told that story a couple weeks ago, didn't you? Yeah, I did. But like, before, I was like, whatever, man. Like, damn, dude, I got so much shit going through the border. Like, and I was being the nice guy. I was like, man, fuck Canada. But now I watch this show and I'm like, I want to go to the part of Canada that's like this. Like, where's that at? Like, I want to go there now. Right. Like, fuck, dude. You brought up Letterkenny. God damn it, man. Black Christmas, we'll get to you when we get to you. Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it. Dude, the show is such a phenomenal creation. Like, fucking Wayne, man. Just like how he's this like no nonsense, like kind of dude. Like, and the best part is the way they talk, dude. Like, you just pick up, like, I used the word chore the other day, I think, when I was talking to you. You did. And like, that's one of the things they say in the show. It's just, and it's such a uniquely filmed television show, the way it pans to each character for responses and like this whole mentality of we've been living together our whole lives, so everything you're basically watching is just a giant inside joke that you're now pervy to, you know. And what's great is they don't set any of them up. They just start on episode 1 with those jokes, and then you realize by the 3rd season that you're just in on the joke, and then you go watch them over again, and you're like, this is even funnier because I know this joke now. Like, I know that the thing they said in season 1 is the exact same shit they're gonna say in season 3. You just didn't know it back then. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, dude. Fuck, man. God damn it. This show gets me so excited.
I love it so much. I love it so much.
It is good. I'm only 3 seasons into it. You finished it out. You actually tweeted about it from your Slothbear 35.
Yes.
Slothbear 35 Twitter account. Check him out there. Follow him. He tweets way more interesting shit than the show Twitter tweets out. Sorry, we just tweet about our shows.
Yeah, man. If you follow me, it is. You can look at my Twitter handle and tell where I am emotionally easily, because that shit is just like a floodgates for me just to go, all right, I'm getting all this off my chest. Here it is. And then, oh, by the way, I find that really funny. Here's some other shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but yes, so
there's no agenda behind mine.
No, absolutely not. So go find, however you can, go find Letterkenny. Now, this is actually a good segue into our next segment. Maybe a new segment of the show, maybe only when it applies during the week. I don't know, but we're gonna do like a grind, like what grinds my gears thing for this show, because there's a few things that bug me this week and I want to bitch about them, and we're dads and we bitch about shit, so it's perfect for me. So my first what grinds my gears this week is how come the US can't have all the seasons of Letterkenny on Hulu, but there are 5 seasons but only 2 available on Hulu right now.
Just licenses agreements, man.
I don't care. No, it's all one big happy world. We all love each other now, right? Is that not where we're at? Come on. Especially when it comes to...
You're not looking at the same fucking news I'm looking at, man.
I know, but not when it comes to entertainment industry.
People that look like you and I are getting really openly brazen about saying how much they hate a lot of people that don't look like you and I. And I'm going, you guys are fucking stupid, dude. Like, that's some dumb shit, man. Like, now that you got me started on this, I saw some old Christian guy that was berating this black gentleman of how his skin color was causing the problems, and how he was wrong with God and all this shit. And then he got like physically abusive on him, like started hitting him and saying that he's allowed to punish this man because of like his religious beliefs. And I'm like,
but the question is, did the person who was being assaulted then pick him up and throw him into the next week like that?
No, dude, like that guy. I mean, the dude was an old guy. Like, right, if this guy would have been spouting any other thing other than like the racial hatred he was, probably everyone would have been like, oh dear, man, let's go help this guy. He's crazy. Or like he's an old man who got separated from his family, like type thing. Like that's how old he was. So like as he was hitting this large black man, it really wasn't like it was hurting him. Like he just stood there with his arms crossed, like, if I hit you, I will kill you because you're that old, you know? And like, I mean, but he just stood there and took the shit. And of course, if he would have done anything, like then he would have been the bad guy. So like good on him for sitting there taking that shit. But I don't like it's fucking crazy, dude. I don't
want to leave my house sometimes.
Like the insanity that is going on, man. Like, yeah, dude. Yeah, your news and my news are apparently way fucking different.
I just want 5 seasons of Letterkenny, okay? That's all I really want. I know that the world is going to shit right now, and I can't stand half the stuff. If you're listening to us, you're not in the US. I would love for you to tweet at us and let us know how it is on your end, or how you guys view us, because we have to be either being laughed at or no, that's pretty much the only option for reactions to our country right now. It really is, especially with the guy who's running it. So, I mean, it's like a bad dream. It really is. It's like, okay, like I can wake up now because this is fucking weird. Like, can we stop this, please?
Yeah, dude. The problem with this shit is, man, it's like, all right, like even if our president is somehow like just immediately removed, like the floodgates for this open racism that people now think they have the right to do. Right. And it was all the whole swing of everything. Yeah. But like that shit's still gonna, like, it's not like that's not all of a sudden just gonna stop.
Right. That's the crazy part, is that everybody else is so fucking nuts too. It's like, oh, we're good now. Like what'd you do? Behave for 8 fucking years? Like, get out of here.
Yeah. Right. Dude, well, that's the problem. Like they did. It was like, oh, I can only say this in the house. or with my close like other like-minded friends, you know, and then it was like when they went out the doors, they're just a completely different person.
Right.
It's like they'll absorb it all and then they unleash it into hellfire and fury when they get home. But now they're like, dude, I just don't like the way you fucking look. And well,
yeah,
I'm white and I now have the right to tell you that.
This is it's a very odd situation and sad situation that we're living in right now. So, on that bright note,
just cut all that shit out.
No, we'll let it all go. We'll let it all go. You got a problem with politics, and just fucking deal with it. You know, guys we're gonna break into that shit at some point. We dance around it, but Jesus, just give me a break. Can't we just all get along so we can have 5 seasons of Letterkenny on Hulu, please? That's all I really want.
Yeah, I know, man. Just everybody get along so we can all have the television we all deserve.
Exactly. So as long as we focus on that, there's no reason to focus on anything else. We're fine. Everything's fine. We're all fine.
Guy in the burning kitchen gift.
Right. Oh, man. Okay, so the next thing I want to bitch about real quick is Lootcrate. All right? Just a real quick. So I subscribe to the Star Trek mission crate because I'm a giant nerd douchebag, okay? And I when it popped up last November, I was like, okay, Discovery's coming out. Like, I'm kind of into. I kind of want to do this. Like, I did like the Alpha Outpost crate like a year before that, and like it kind of turned into a shithole at the end. And they got sold off or bought up by somebody. And there's all kinds of like buying and selling of these crate companies out there right now. So Loot Crate's been around forever. And
I remember I had Loot Crate like when it first came out, and
before it was any, you could designate your nerd. It was like you got like whatever nerd that month was.
Yeah, like whatever they threw in the box was like what you got. And I remember because the first one I got was in December, and it happened to be a Batman themed Loot Crate, and I got like a fucking sweet ass like Batman Joker or Joker Batman, one of those like little vinyl dolls,
right?
And like a bunch of other cool shit. I was like, oh man, this thing's going to be the fucking coolest thing ever. And then like after 3 months, I was like, I don't give a fuck about any of this other stuff. So I just quit doing it. And then I heard you could be like, oh, I like the Flash. So,
right.
or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like you could be a little more specific on
there's
the kind of stuff you wanted.
There's a billion different things now, and you can definitely pick your nerd and go to it. So I picked Star Trek because why not? And there's been so many delays and problems with them getting whatever they're doing per box in. And so what it's turned out now is that so you're paying the bill, like you're getting billed every 2 months. So you think in a year, you're going to get billed 6 times. I mean, if we're going by math, right?
Yeah.
And so so far on my credit card, I've got 5 billing cycles. So you know, and I'll even give them a little bit with the first one because it was like their initial like, hey, we're thinking about doing this box, like get on for, you know, $5 off or whatever. So I've been billed 5 times. We just got our second box yesterday. And so like, I'm like, okay, guys, at this point I'm caught between that like rock and a hard place because I'm either going to keep paying you every 2 months till I get some more boxes, like at some point. But if at some point, I will have paid my 6 for the year and not have 4 boxes at my house. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, at what point, what do you do? Like I wrote.
Yeah. Do they like
stop billing me until I get my 4?
Do they stop billing you till they catch up? Or is it one of those things that are like, oh, hey, by the way, we know the backlog happened, so this is the way we did it. Like you get one every month now to catch up kind of thing, you know, whatever.
Yeah. If they were if like we got word that the 3rd box was coming out like next month because the boxes are only quarterly. So I'm getting billed every 2 months, but I'm only getting a box supposedly every 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if we got word that like we were getting our next box like next month, which is what we're about lining up to hit or what we should be at, then I would be okay. But something tells me there's going to be delays again with this box, and then we're going to be nearing that year mark and only have 2 boxes. So like I wrote them I got on their customer service thing and wrote them their like, you know, enter your name and your email and whatever crate you have and then write your message. And I was like, I have 3 questions for you guys. 1, how many times am I supposed to be billed over a year? which I know the answer is 6. And I said, I didn't write that though. It's question 2 is, how many boxes should I receive in that year? Which I already know the answer to, but I want them to say it. And then the third question was, what happens if the reality of the situation is that doesn't happen? What happens? Like, what is your and then I was like, y'all need a contingency for like, do you stop billing me after my 6th billing payment? Like, I should stop. Okay, if I ran the world, my next payment in 2 months in October will be my last payment until I receive my 4th box. That's how it should be. That makes sense. Yeah. It makes complete sense. But will that happen with a big company? More than likely not. And so at that point, they're betting on me like canceling my subscription in between boxes, and I've already paid. I've already got 5 payments to them with only 2 boxes. I can't cancel now. I got 2 more. I need 2 more boxes. Damn it! Because until at least. And the worst part is, like, I went to like when I got the box yesterday, I opened it up, searched for everything that was like, looked it up online, like everything that was in the box, and like I'm breaking even. Like, it's not even like it's a deal. I could just go to the website they got these from and buy them at the cost on the website, and it would just be because it came to like 60 something bucks. And I'm like, well, $45 and $45 over, 4 months. You cut that, you get like, it's like $60 is what you're getting for that 3-month period. I'm like, okay, well, that isn't like, so I thought that was just go buy.
Like,
you're supposed to get, yes,
like those loot boxes was like,
not everyone was going to have like a whole, I don't know, like whatever. Like, it's not going to have a whole bunch of like a whole bunch of awesome stuff in it, but there was always going to be like, whether it was because I remember with the loot boxes I got, there was always at least something in there that was like, that was worth the money I paid. The other stuff would either add up to what I just paid, or there was at least 1 or 2 items like combined, or there was one specific piece in there where you were like, yep, that was the item they wanted you to go. That's where your money went this month,
Right. And you were absolutely right. And that's not the case. I mean, yes, the one big, especially like when the lady from the mail, like when the postal carrier like handed me the box, and like she wasn't struggling to get it to me, so it was like it weighed a lot. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, why is this box not 800 pounds? Like, why is this shit not like, why is it not bulging? Because there's so much I'm sorry shit in here. Now, I will give Lootcrate a little bit of credit. They sent us like a mini box like 2 months after the original, like everyone in November was like, oh yeah, I want to do the Star Trek box. And then it didn't come out right away. They're like, here's like some old Star Trek shit, like a pen and like a car freshener in the shape of like the Vulcan salute, and like a comic book that I never read, and maybe a t-shirt. I don't know. Maybe the one I'm wearing right now. I don't even know. But it's like, okay, I'll give you that, but it wasn't the box. That was the I'm sorry box, which is fine. You need some more I'm sorry boxes. And the worst part, on top of all of this, is that on the website from the company is QM. I don't like giving them credit, but Star Trek is notorious, like, doesn't have a whole bunch of people making stuff for them. They're notoriously horrible with like their marketing when it comes to toys and action figures and shit like that. So QM is the company in the website that's like has all this shit, where I looked up all the prices and I looked at like their Star Trek selection, and I'm like, okay, there's all the stuff from the first box. Oh, there's all the stuff from this box. There's like nothing left. I'm like, where the fuck are you getting any more stuff? You've ran this website dry. And if that's the case, how is it taking you? How are you not? It's on the website. Just order the shit to your store. Like, what's wrong with you? I don't know. It's just pissing me off. And I know I'm going to get fucked. And I know that I can't do anything about it. It reminds me of like that Liar Liar scene where he's like, you know what I'm going to do about it? Nothing. Yeah. I'm going to bend over and take one up the tailpipe. And the guy's like, you've been here before. That's how I feel. Because it's like, what am I going to do? Like, I can like, I like when people are like, yeah, I'm going to go I'll get a lawyer and be like, but I'm not going to. Like, I'm not going to go and be like, oh, you're not living up to your, terms of service because they only apply to us. Like, if we don't pay, you fuck me. But if you don't do what you're told, what you said you're going to do, then what do I have to stand on? I.e. fuck you, Movie Pass. I.e. Lootcrate right now. We've been on this topic more than once in the past few episodes. Just because if companies don't do what they say, we have to take it in the ass until there's a class action lawsuit, which ends up giving us like all $1. It's like, here, fill this card out and you'll get $1, which of the winnings from the court proceeding or whatever. It's like, okay, well, thanks, but no thanks.
I think I got a class action lawsuit one time, like email thing, and it was like a Red Bull one. And so I filled it out and I was like, yeah, sure. I'll either, cause it was like either take $8 or take 4 packs of Red Bull of your choice. And I was like, well, that's like $50 worth of Red Bull right there. I was like,
yeah, I'll take that. Someone's not doing the math.
And I was like, and I drink it. So, well, I did. And I was like, but at the time I was like, yeah, that's a great fucking deal for me.
Yay, lawyers.
Yeah. I was like, don't know who you guys are, but good job.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll keep everybody updated. I'm sure you're all wondering what happens with this, but I got a response from the day and I haven't read the email close enough, but it was like, well, they already have the name for the next box, which is good. And they said they'd have an update out like a month later, like in the next month. And I'm like, okay. So, but I'm going to reply back because they're actually, I will give them credit. This is not the first time I've written them because I wrote them back during the first box where I was like, I keep getting billed and I don't have a box yet. And they're like, it's coming. Like they'll at least respond back and forth. You never get anywhere, but at least they actually are responding. So I'm going to write them back and be like, okay.
That's basically like choosing, do I want to sit in this traffic or do I want to take the longer way home just so I can keep moving?
Right. Right. So I will keep us up to date on what happens with this. I'm sure they still didn't answer my question. Will you stop billing me after I've paid a year when you haven't given me a year's worth of boxes? That will be my question. And I'll be like, you can feel free to start billing me again when I've received when you send that shipping notice of my 4th box, feel free to charge me again. Until that happens, don't fucking charge me. Like after I've paid my year, like don't fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not asking that much.
Like,
I'm just
part of
asking
me's
you
like
to hold
just
up.
like super interested in it now. I really want to see how this plays out. Like the devil on my shoulders going, oh god, dude, I hope they keep fucking billing him because I can't wait to hear what he does when he goes off the fucking deep end with this shit. Because I was like, it'll be one thing if they keep billing him and all of a sudden the boxes like kind of roll out quicker. He'll be like, oh, whatever. I was like, man, let them boxes still be lagging behind and they keep billing his ass. I was like, that'll be a fucking great story.
Yeah. Tune in next week for Clay to lose his fucking mind. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Okay, so next on my grind my gears, since I mentioned I went to King's Dominion today, which anybody doesn't know who doesn't know.
It's a theme park.
It's a theme park in Virginia. It used to be owned by Paramount, and I used to love it because it was Paramount in the 90s. There were like Klingons and shit walking around the park. You remember that? Did you go back in those days? Did you live there in that time?
No.
Okay, so when Paramount owned it, like Paramount, I
lived here when I was here when Paramount owned it.
Yeah.
But I also never like went to King's Dominion a whole lot, and I guarantee if I was fucking walking around in there, I was anywhere between 15 to 17. So the last thing I saw was some fucking Trekkie nerd guy dressed up walking around. I saw every piece of ass and tits and mother MILF thing that I could, because I was just a giant raging hormone at that point in time.
Well, that's also great. There was a whole bunch of Star Trek characters. It wasn't like people coming dressed. It was like the park staff. Like, as they dress up, like when you see Mickey and Minnie, well, Paramount had like, whatever movies Paramount owned, they had those kind of characters out there, cosplay-ish type thing back in the 90s. That's all I was saying. But anyways, that's how the park used to be. But now it's owned by Cedar Rapids, somebody. It's the large, like, Cedar owns everybody now, pretty much.
Well, yeah, because it's probably Cedar Point then, because Cedar Point's that, like, massive ass, like, theme park in Ohio.
Yes, they're all, it's a Cedar brand now, is what it is.
Okay.
And it's funny because you have, like, people in King's Dominion shirts, but then you have, like, the Cedar staff, and they're, like, they're, like, all the people who, like, they're not the ones who work there, like, for the summer. They're like the ones that work there full time and like are supervisor. They're more, I don't know, but like Cedar has their own staff there on top. They're like, oh no, I'm not King's Dominion staff. I'm Cedar staff. Like they're watching the Watchers. I don't know.
Shoo, go away. I'm not really here. Don't bother me. Don't bother me.
They're like Drax. Like, I'm invisible.
Yeah, they just fucking freeze.
Right. So for my boy is 5. So there's an entire like Snoopy section. that it's all the Snoopy characters and all the rides are based on that whole comic. And they have some roller coasters that are decent enough, and they're built so adults can be on them too, so you can ride with your kid. So I can get on with my son, cram my knees into the seat, and like ride with him on like actual like a wooden roller coaster, like a couple of like ones that do enough that I'm like, okay, this ain't messing around. That kind of roller coaster. Well, that's all well and good, and it's great that you can ride with your kids. What bothers me when I'm in line is when there is a couple, like a noticeable, like adult, not like teenagers either, like adult couple who's like riding that ride, like who specifically said, no, I don't want to go to the adult part of the park. Let me go to the kids section and ride these roller coasters. So
that's fucking annoying. Like
last week, it was like a whole group of like Middle Eastern dudes, but like it was annoying because they're taking up spots that kids and parent, that happens. But they were like cool. They were like fist bumping my son. They're like, yeah, we were like, oh, great, having a great old time. And I think one of the guys was like super scared, like didn't want to really be on the roller coaster. Like, let's start you here. Like, I understand that, but you better make that readily apparent in a loud conversation around everybody with you. Like, yep, just standing in this line because she can't ride roller coasters and is really scared. So we're going to try her on this one first. Like, you better make it apparent. You better be wearing a sign or a t-shirt that says she hates roller coasters. This is all I get today. Like, that's like, you got, like, just to sit in there and like, oh, we're riding the roller coaster. Like, no, you're taking up a fucking spot that me and my son could be in. Like, there is an entire 80 acres of park right through that archway over there. That's all for adults. Go get on the Anaconda. Go get on the friggin' Twisted Timbers. I don't give a crap. Just get out of my freaking kid's ride. This is all I get to ride today.
Yeah, dude, because like there should be, like if you're taller than this, like you can't fucking ride it. Like, and I know there is for stuff that's just for little kids, but like stuff that's like meant with basically for a kid and a parent, or a kid and a guardian of some sorts. Like, get out of here with that shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're not that couple that's also then has, say, younger brother and sister with them going on the ride, riding in two separate cars.
Right.
Like, cool, good on you, man. Like, good practice, because that's where your life's going anyhow.
Right.
But, like, if you're just that couple that's, like, gonna take up a cart and sit together because
it's cute.
It's fucking cute or
and
whatever.
She doesn't like big coasters.
Or maybe, and dude, I'm not even gonna blame a she thing, man, because, like, there's a lot of...
No, I'm not saying her or him. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
But, like...
Did I say she? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did. You did, you sexist asshole. But you're right. Whether it is like a he or she thing, like they're scared, like there either needs to be a kind of a crown of shame thing going on. Like, hey, we know we're here taking up a spot for little kids, so we're going to have fun with it, and we're going to cheer them all on, and everybody's going to cheer my loser friend on at the same time because it's all camaraderie.
Right.
But don't be the assholes that are like, hey, it's hot to ride a kid's ride. Like, what is appealing about this? Like, I don't understand. Like, from any couple aspect, like what about, I don't know, let's say 22 to 26 was like, let me get on this fucking kid ride. I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
But I'm just trying to think of like why. But I mean, that's Snoopy, because Snoopy fucking predates us.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be. I mean, it could be that even if you did write it 10 years ago, I don't care. Like, you want, if you're hearkening for a wooden roller coaster, then go ride the Spirit of 76 that used to be called Rebel Yell, but they can't call it Rebel Yell anymore because it's talking about the South. We can't talk about the South anymore, so we got to rename it. So now what used to be the Rebel Yell is now called the Spirit of 76. Did you know that, by the way? And you can't go backwards anymore. There's no more backwards coasters. Apparently, that's like really dangerous, and we should never have done it, because this is the one that you could, if you don't know, you could race one track went, the cart went normal, like everything went forward. The other one, the cart, it was facing the wrong direction and it was going backwards, and it was fun and it was cool. And sometimes it would line up when you'd race the forward cart. It wasn't like it was on purpose, because that time you guys were off by half a hill, but who gives a shit? But like, you can't, there's no backwards track anymore. Like, it's all like, nope, going forward. Found out we almost killed all of you guys for like 20 years straight.
Man, sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality. right?
Yeah, you only almost
what is
died.
that? Like that Johnny Knoxville movie that came out, Action Point.
Yep.
Like, okay, I mean, even the shit in his thing's like absurd, but like, you think about all of us, like, especially anybody from say, 35 to 45, like, remembers playing
lawn darts,
right? Yeah, like lawn darts, or like you were just like, hey, I'm gonna ride my bike down this big ass hill as fast as I fucking can with no helmet and like shorts and no shirt, and you just, that mentality, like, you just don't see it anymore.
Mm-mm.
Like, I don't, like, the only kids that are doing that shit is because they're doing it for like a video. Right? Like,
right.
No one, I bet you if there wasn't a camera, like, every one of them would be perfectly sane, be like, nah, dude, that's a dumbass idea. But as soon as one of them one of them got a camera phone, they were like, oh, we can record all the dumb shit? Yeah, because we can go watch it again. It'll be funny.
Right. Back in the old days, only your friends who were around you saw your bike stop, and you crotched yourself on that tree because you thought you timed the root system right, and you didn't, and you ended up stopping your bike automatically and throwing your crotch into the front of your bike. Only your friends saw that. Yeah, don't worry.
Well, dude, well, like, I remember playing probably like one of the most politically incorrect games ever, Smear the Queer.
Oh boy, wow, yeah, that's old school.
Yeah, like,
we do not condone Smear the Queer. We don't.
I mean, I condone the game. I don't condone the name of the game at all. Like, shit, dude. I didn't know what that actually meant until I wasn't playing that type of game anymore, but I was significantly older before I put like 2 and 2 together, because I just didn't know what any of that was. And I was like, oh
that's
my
so
God.
bad.
Like, and all of our parents were just like, yeah, no big deal. Like, no one was correcting it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep. Thanks, parents. Well, anyways, so yeah, that's I don't know. I don't understand it. It bugs me. The only thing I can think of also is that the lines are way shorter in the kids section, but too fucking bad. Like, sorry, go wait in line like everybody else in the adult section. Go ride the friggin' Avalanche, which my son, who's like 44 inches tall, can ride, which is awesome because like that's it. Like that's on the big side, like on the adult section, and he loves that ride.
Which one's the
Avalanche is the one that's like it's like a bobsled. Like there's no track. It's just like
yeah. Okay.
Like that ride. That ride will mess you up.
The big luge thing.
Yep.
Right.
I've even taught him well. I was like, okay, son, it's smooth in the front and it's fast in the back. Like, what do you want? Because you're getting one or the other. You're not getting both. Because if you sit up front, it's all smooth. But the first time we took him, what did I take him? Because I was testing out to see how smooth the front was for whenever I take my daughter who's special needs. If I take her on some, she loves roller coasters, but I don't want her bashing her head against the side of everything. So I'm like, hey, bud, let's go up front for a few of these and see what they're like. So we rode like the front, and like he had the first feeling like where you're hanging over the edge of the hill because you're waiting for everybody else to catch up. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about, son. Like, we're waiting for 10 minutes for the back of the train to catch up. And then we take off, and it's like, he's like, wow, it's so smooth. I was like, I told you. It's like, it's nice up front, but you don't get half the speed.
Nice.
Teaching him young, man. I can't wait till he needs to be like,
well, because he's 5, right?
He just turned 5. He needs to be like, he's just over the 44-inch mark. I think he needs to be in the 48-inch mark to hit all the, like, where the echelon of like what he can ride opens up. And I'm like, yes, we're going on all these.
Yeah, because I mean, you know how big both of my children are.
Yeah,
and I think Aiden was 6 or 7 when he rode like his first like real roller coaster, because he was that fucking tall.
Right.
So his first one was like the rock and roll coaster, like the rock and roll roller coaster at like Universal Studios, and it's like this one where you're standing, and then it has like a little seat that kind of comes under your crotch, and and so you're not free falling legged, but you're lifted up just enough that it's kind of like the balls of your feet are on it, unless you're really tall, you know? But it's one of those that like just takes off out of nowhere.
It's the slingshot ones as opposed to the hill climb.
Yeah. And so like Aiden's there with me, and it's got like the the over the shoulder straps, and he's like holding on for like dear life, and you get to like play your song. So we picked Motley Crue.
Nice.
And we're rocking out to Motley Crue, and he's like, and I'm like, got camera on him, and I'm like, you ready? And he's like, no, I don't think so, but yeah. And all of a sudden it just kicked off, and like you watch the words just disappear from his mouth, man. And like he was about to pass out, and then like all of a sudden, you know, next, of course, when it's done, he's like, can we do it again? I was like, yeah, buddy.
Yes, we can, son. Yes, we can.
you got the itch now. You got the itch. You're all over the jitters. You're good to go, man. Yeah, but yeah, dude, I can't wait till you can take him on one of those.
Well, I tell you what, there's one that's like I would call it, well, okay, to be honest, and I am a huge fan of roller coasters. I will ride everything and anything you stick me on roller coasters. I will not ride drop rides unless it's like Tower of Terror at like is that Disney? It's Universal, isn't it? Tower of Terror. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the feeling of free fall. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't do it. It doesn't
do it for me. That is like my favorite feeling in the world.
Yeah, but okay, so you're picking me up. Like I can sit through. I've been on drop rides before. I've been on a few of them, but I don't go like I want to go there right now first. I'm not doing that. If someone's like, please, I love it. And I'm like, fine. But you know, I'm not searching them out. So I don't like them. So I'll ride anything. Now, saying that, there's a ride that sounds stupid, and it's called the Apple's Apple. That is what it's called. But it's one of the 44-inch rides. Like it's one of the ones he couldn't ride like the beginning of the summer when we picked up the season pass because he was like under 44 inches, but he's grown that much in just like 2 months. So now he suddenly hits it. So we go to ride this last weekend, and I realized that I also apparently don't like when you're the only cart. Like it's only like a 4-seater cart, and that's it. There's no like train of 5 of those. It's just one by itself. And then it does all the normal some of the stuff from a roller coaster, but then it does things that you can't do with a full train, like complete U-turns, like 5 stories off the ground. So you're sitting in a cart, a little tiny cart.
Dude, is this the one that like when you're coming to the edge of the thing, like from your eye level, it basically looks like you're playing fucking Minecraft or any first person game when you walk to an edge because you can't see it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going over, and then it fucking turns on you.
Yes, that's the ride. Yeah. And like, so we rode it. He loved it. You wouldn't know it from the picture on the hill that they took of him, but he loved it. And I was like, I'm like, I guess, I don't know, I don't know if it's as an adult or I'm like, there is so much shit that could go wrong with like doing this complete U-turn on this cart. And I'm like, I was like, look at these kids who are checking this ride. They didn't check the bolts on the bottom of this fucking thing. They don't know this thing's gonna hold on a U-turn. I'm 250 pounds. I'm not gonna make this turn. Like, I'm gonna die right here, right now. So, like, I am not having a good time on this ride. And so he wanted to ride today, and I was like, nah, we're going to the water park today, bud. Let me go beach myself, my fat ass out here by the water, because, like, I don't want to ride the Apple's Apple this week, but I'm gonna ride it next week, by God, because I'm gonna master that ride. I don't even care. It's just, I would much rather have a train of cars. I don't care if I'm standing, hanging, laying. Like I actually have never ridden the Superman ride before. That's one where you lay down, right? Like that would be fun. That's at Six Flags or something.
Yeah, because what you do in that one is it's the same setup. So like you get in it like standing, and then your ankles have like
something in front of them, like a leg machine.
Yeah, but it's not like it's clamped. It's just kind of like a brace there. So as you go up and they pull you up, you're that little bit of weight will get caught, and then you're just taking off.
That'd be fun. That's what I want to ride. Yeah, I haven't been. My wife is not the hugest fan of roller coaster parks, so it's not like we went a whole bunch of times before we had kids. And then I was in the Marine Corps, so I wasn't doing any roller coasters at that point in time either because I was deployed. And then it's high school, so it's pretty much Kings Dominion's been my only one. So yeah, at least I've been to Six Flags here and there. I've been to Disney a few times, which says those 3 roller coasters don't even freaking count. I don't consider those roller coasters. So yeah.
Yeah, I wish Kings Dominion would do a little bit more like theme wise. Like I know the volcano has like a big theme to it.
That thing never runs anymore.
Right? Like
it's never on. It never works.
And then the one, I don't even know if it is the UFO like space roller coaster anymore. It's like something else now.
The stunt car stunt.
Yeah, that's
some
right.
kind of stunt thing. Yeah, and I can't wait to ride that one, but I need my son to have a growth spurt this winter so we can both ride it because it's just me and him going. So,
but like that's the one thing like about the few rides you can go to like at the Disney parks is there's so much built-in scenery with it.
Right.
Like I wish King's Dominion would do a little bit more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, build up their areas a little better and, kind of make it. Because it basically, they're just like, they're at the point now where, like, when the Anaconda had a cool, like, snake thing in the ground and all that shit, like, all of that metal has since rusted or needed to be repainted. So they've just pulled it all out. And now it's just like, here's the canopies. You guys know what they're fucking called. So, like,
True.
It doesn't really matter. Like what's the Rebel Yell called? Because I still only know it as the Rebel Yell.
Spirit of 76, I think.
Yeah, see, like no one even cares. Like, you don't even need names. At King's Dominion now, if you're like from the area, especially because it's not like they seem to really be building new extravagant rides or anything. Like, you don't even need names on anything anymore.
Yeah, the newest thing they have out right now is the Twisted Timbers, and it's because it's a wooden/metal hybrid. So it's a wooden coaster, but it also has like spin, like it also has loops and like corkscrews. And I'm like, that doesn't sound. I mean, I love both those things on a metal coaster. Like you don't need to add wood for nostalgia's sake. Like I don't need the headache from a wood coaster because all I remember from the Grizzly, which was their old ass wood coaster they had back in the day, was it would just shake you until you had a fucking migraine. Like the whole time.
Yeah, well,
it's like we ride the Grizzly last, so you go home with the headache.
I mean, but I imagine a coaster built in the 80s versus a coaster built now is just it just naturally is a smoother ride.
Oh, agreed. I'm sure you're absolutely right. But that's all with. I mean, rolling on a nice metal tube is different than rolling on metal wooden tracks. Metal with hammered into wooden tracks. Yeah, I mean that's a given. So that's it. That's King's Dominion. That's my gripe. Somehow we got off on talking about the whole park. So anytime King's Dominion wants to sponsor us, you're more than welcome. We'll take your money. Anyway, so yeah. So I actually have one more gripe, and I don't even know if I should do it right now. You tell me. If not, I can put it off till next week. Because on our way home, like we know, I always notice this when I'm driving. It's like people that pull off on the interstate, not like pull off on an exit, but just like stop on the interstate. And don't get me wrong, I've stopped on the interstate before too, but it's because I have a flat tire and I'm like timing traffic as I'm trying to get the lug nuts off the tire to then change it to then drive to the next place to get the tire fixed. Like, I'm talking about people who are stopped and like they're leaning up against the guardrail looking at their phone, like chilling, like they're just like, I need to get out of the car for a minute. I'm like, I do not understand that. And I don't know what at the time where you're like, I'm going 80. I'm just going to stop right over here and just get out.
I don't know, man. Maybe somebody was peeing.
But you would think that, okay, I'll give you that. But I would expect, number one, if you're sending like a child into the woods because they just couldn't make it to the next exit, like one of you is like watching the woods intently. I mean, you're running through tick-infested knee-high grass that hadn't been cut in 4 weeks because the tractors haven't been through. So
dude,
I mean,
just look at how parents are with their children. Like some parents are with their children in a mall or any large place, like
or the wave pool today.
The interstate does not change the fact of how they would like absentee parent. You know, they're like, all right, I'll be at the rail. You go run down the hill. Like, I gotta keep an eye on the car or fucking little Timmy or little Susie that's still sitting in the car. Cause let's face it, they don't just have one kid.
Right.
They have fucking 5.
You're doing real good at this. Just keep going.
Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I could see how they just wouldn't give a fuck, but I don't understand. Yeah, why? Okay. Whatever the cause may be for you to be pulled over on the side of the road, cool, good on you. I don't understand why I would ever see someone pulled over on the side of the road where you can clearly see that their car is still on.
Right.
Like, I've seen this, like, where their car is still running and they're just outside of it.
Yeah.
And they're just, and you're right. They're like posted up on the guardrail texting.
Yeah. Just having a good old time.
Yeah. Like you are correct. In situations where I see that, I'm like, what series of events led to that situation?
Right. I almost want to pull over and ask them.
Like, are you okay? Nah, man. I was driving. Fucking Tina hit me up and she just was yelling, calling me. I had to pull over. Like, all right, cool, man. Fair on you. Good luck with Tina.
Like fucking right? Tina. You know? Yeah, that's just I see that more and more these days, and no one's messing with a tire, and that's the only reason I would ever pull over on the interstate is like if something's wobbling and I'm like, oh shit, it's a flat, and then it's like I'm pulling. God forbid it, like, I would hate if it's, like, the right side, because if you get a flat on the left, yeah, you're squatting down on the roadside, but you can, like, pull the rest of your car the fuck off the road and just leave the side of the tire that you need on the road to jack up the car. It's man, I don't get it. Maybe I'm old. Maybe it's a new fad these days. Just pull over because I can do whatever, because I'm a millennial. And no one can tell me what to do. Donald Trump's president.
I don't know, man. Like, I pulled over a bunch of places. Like, I pulled over because I had to get something out the back for, like, the baby, you know? But, I mean, I've never just pulled over and, like, hung out.
Yeah.
On the side of the road.
This dude was up against the guardrail just texting. Just on his phone. Not watching for kids, but yeah. But you can't...
But, and even then, like, this is the other thing, too. Like, let's say he was actually texting someone for assistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it still just be easier to call? Like, shouldn't the phone be at your ear? Like, shouldn't you be calling AAA or your mom, or like, why would you be texting someone like this conversation? Like, right? Like, I always tell my children, especially Aiden, like, I mean, I haven't drilled this into my daughter yet, but like my son, I'm like, dude, if it's an emergency, you call. Like, the first thing I had to memorize was my phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm like, you call. You should be able to dial this like that, no problem. I was like, don't ever fucking text me, oh, Dad, I'm in trouble. Dad, I'm in trouble. I need your help. Like, if I get that message from you, you're already gonna just be in trouble. Like, I'm just like, look, you're just gonna be grounded 1 week just for that message alone. Whatever you're about to tell me should be spoken to me like a man. Like, right. You should be calling me.
I can see you reading your text like, Dad, I'm in trouble. Yeah, you fucking are. But now let's see what's wrong with you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll just, 1 week. We'll start there, man.
That's right.
Hey, man, are you okay? Got all your limbs? You good? You breathing? Oh, okay. We'll just let you know you're grounded for a week.
Already. Yep. Now what's up? Yeah. No, and commenting on parenting, like my son and I were in the wave pool. He's got a life jacket on because he's, doesn't swim real well because he's 5. And we're down, in like the 5, I can still touch the ground when the waves aren't going area. And so they crank up, the sound comes on, the wave pool cranks up. Now, I know.
Are you at the point where like you gotta hold your boy and like jump if the waves come?
Well, this wave pool, and it's not one that does the whole, like, it doesn't flap the whole wave. It does, like, if you're there towards the front where it's being generated, it's more of like rolling hills going, and they're not all going towards the thing. They're going like all over the place. So yeah. You're kind of just riding it as it goes. And yes, and I know what happened here. Like, I know what happened to this little girl, and she's not little. She's probably like 10, probably can swim, but she was on the down when the wave was on the up, and she was on the up when the wave was on the down. So like there was no chance.
She got her timing off.
Yeah, her timing was off, and so like my son and I are just kind of and he's fine, and we're just kind of going up and down, and then I look at the lifeguard, and he has that lifeguard look, and like turns and hits the button to kill it, and then like dives in like towards us, and I'm like, what's going on? So I'm like kind of moving out of the way, and like he heads this girl, and you can see that she's just not making it. And the best part is like, where the fuck are your parents? It's like, you're not. It wasn't like I didn't look at her and go, oh, you're out here by yourself. I was like, oh, why aren't your parents at least with it? And then of course, like, in the time it took for the lifeguard to notice, hit it, jump, swim out there, then comes mama and the younger one she was holding, like to their other daughter who's almost dying in this pool. I was like, bravo, like, way to kill it for everybody. Thanks a lot. Like, watch your kid. Tell your kid, you don't swim that good. Stay up here where your feet will touch and you can jump.
You don't swim that good.
Just something. Like, damn. Like, stop. Like, what are you doing? So it wasn't I can only joke about it because it wasn't like they drug her to the water and had to do CPR. Like, they were like, hey, get on the right timing and breathe. Shut up. You're fine. Like, it wasn't, they took her out of the pool, said, why are you stupid? Or something. But yeah, it was like, it wasn't even her fault. Like, a coherent parent near who would have seen her like, oh shit, here, hold my hand so I can get you off your wrong timing. Like, you're just on the wrong end of it. It's not your fault. Like, it happens. Like, you get on the wrong end of those humps, man, and you're going up to get a breath and that water hits you right in the face. You're like, shit.
Dude. I remember being a fucking, like I said, 16, 17-year-old when I was out there timing that shit wrong, playing out in the deep area, then like, finally just staying under the water, like where it's like to the point of, if I get this next jump, I'm good. If I don't, probably gonna die. But like I said, I'm 16, 17. Like, I'm consciously and physically able to make that decision and hold myself there long enough to then time the jump. Like, a 10-year-old is not gonna go, hey, I'm just gonna hang out at the bottom for half a second longer. She like, oh shit, I need to get some fucking air.
Right. And the worst part is like, when she wasn't even swimming towards the light, she had not even gotten herself to, like, she wasn't understanding that what was happening enough to even be turning towards the shallower water and paddling in the right direction. I need to get to where I can fucking walk.
Or finding a wall or something.
Yeah. She was just bobbing wrong. I don't even know, man. It was bad. And I was like, in fact, another parent got to her before her parent did. Before the lifeguard did. Like, she grabbed her, like, give me your hand as the lifeguard was getting to them. And it was like, all right. Because I couldn't, because I had my son, and if I let him go, like, he's in a life jacket, but he also thinks that a life jacket magically means your head will never go underwater. So while he did well today, he was also coughing and sputtering here and there because he was like, I can't go under. I'm like, nope, you do. And you swallowed some water, son. You'll get over it. Like, you will go underwater. It's just meant to keep you buoyant, son. So yeah, it was a good time. It's great. We're going every Sunday just to kind of, he's a pre-K, or he's not kindergarten. So up until as long as you're not 6, season passes are free for the kids. Like, they're free. Like, you just sign up for it, go pick it up. It's great. Nice. So I just bought mine. So we're just I bought the one that gives you free parking because parking's $20. So
did you buy that out at the exchange?
No, I didn't go on the exchange to do it. I just paid the whatever it is for it. It's only, it's not a mess. I don't have any. Look at
you and your corporate money, not even going and using your military benefits anymore.
Well, I don't have an ID anymore. Like, as a veteran, you don't have, like, if you just did your 4 years and got out, like, I have an old expired ID card, but they don't have an ID for veterans. They have, if you retire, you have an ID card. If you active duty, you have an ID card. But if you're just like, I did some time and I'm a veteran, you don't have a card. But they do have a veteran ID card system out there now. It's not, I ordered mine, but it hasn't come with me yet. So I don't know. I don't even know if it grants me base privileges. I think it does, though. But yeah, anyways.
Well, shit. I mean, your cat card grants you base privileges.
To a certain extent, yeah. So, oh well. It is what it is. Lowe's gives me 5% off or 10% off or something every purchase because of veteran status. I had to mail them I had to, like, send them a PDF of my DD-214.
Anytime I go to the hardware store, I take my dad.
Yeah, right. Please pay for this. Please show them your card.
Hey, you pay for it. I'll send you the money get through a transfer. But let's go ahead and get that discount.
Yeah, let me get that 10%.
Plus, he gets the senior discounts on all that shit now too. He finally hit peak status, man.
Old man, nice.
Yeah, dude. Well, he's like,
don't tell him I said that.
But shit, dude. That's what I call him. I call him old man. Well, it's like, I think he did his 20 in the service. He's done at least almost another 20 between, like, private sector and like, I guess what, GS work.
Right.
But not being a private employee in a government area or whatever.
That don't give you shit towards your time though. But it does.
No, but I'm just saying, like, he's done all that And like, so got his retirement, got his all like those military bins, then went and did all of his like corporate, cause I got all the government knowledge, like other side of the game, made a pretty good mint. And now he's got like senior status too. So like my dad just straight like wherever he goes, it's like he's hit all of the check marks on all like the life discount boxes. Like there's not one thing he can't get for a cheaper price anymore, anywhere.
Nice. Oh, to be that old. We're not there yet, but we'll be there at some point.
Yeah, I just hope I'm not like struggling to get by.
Unable to function.
Right at that point, you know, like either diabetes wise, like I still hope it's like doing A-okay when I'm like my dad's age or older, or financially. I also hope financially I'm doing okay at that point.
Right. All right, so it's been like an hour. You want to talk about Black Christmas? Actually, do you want to tell us what we're watching for next week? Because we didn't even tell you guys last episode what we were watching. I had a tweet about it. I was like, oh shit, we didn't even tell y'all we're doing Black Christmas. So what are we watching next? What is our next podcast? Our part 3 of 5 of Best of Horror by Corey.
We're going to watch Final Girls.
Final Girls. And give me a quick synopsis of Final Girls. I watched the trailer and it looks so amazing.
Okay, so basically, like, I think Final Girls came out in 2015, and it is
Wait. Can I do it? Can I try real quick?
Sure.
Is it Last Action Hero for a horror comedy? But the other way around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it as in, like, they're in the film aspect all of a sudden. Like, yeah. So basically, it's a tribute to slasher flicks with also, when you go back and watch a slasher flick 20 years later, you're like, that didn't really stand the test of time. Like, and there's kind of like jokes and subtle jabs at like those kind of things of the like, I think one of them, like an example from the movie, there's a scene where the guy's proving that like, look, we're in a movie, it's fake blood. And he like dips his finger in there and like puts it in his mouth, and he's like, "Oh God, no, that's real blood. Oh, that's so real. It's warm. Oh, like
right." Because they're joking that it's always like Caro syrup and red food dye or whatever.
Yeah. And so like they go to make the jokes about like the overuse of stuff like that, but then it turns out that they may be in the movie, and yes, it seems to repeat itself, but whatever reason, there's like real life consequences that are going on with the film, and it's like they have to figure out, of course, how to like end the cycle and get out of it and stuff. But it's just it's just a good horror film.
And if that doesn't appeal to you, like the cast is like a who's who of right now as a cast.
Yeah. So
you've got Taysa Farminga, who is from American Horror Story. She's the main character. She's the main character of the movie, or at least listed first on the IMDb, but she's been in a bunch of seasons of American Horror Story. Malin Ackerman, who's been in everything from Watchmen to Billions. Alexander Ludwig, he's been in Hunger Games. He also is in Vikings as well. Am I wrong? Is he in? He's in Vikings. I'm right. Whew, I thought I was going to mess up there for a minute. Nina Dobrev, who's Nina Dobrev. I don't have to explain who she is. I'm sorry. I don't. If you don't know who that is, you're missing out on life. She's freaking awesome. She's great. Thomas Middleditch he's in, what's the comedy he's in right now? Silicon Valley, but he's also like the guy from all the Verizon commercials.
Yeah.
He's the comedian from that. And then another one is Adam Devine. I mean, if you put Adam Devine in anything, you know it's going to be good. So Adam Devine's the one from...
He's from Workaholics fame.
Workaholics and Glee, and also from Pitch Perfect. All the Pitch Perfects.
Yeah.
So and Modern Family as well. So that's his big stuff. It's a great cast. I can't wait to watch it. I have not watched it yet. I know this recording is getting out late, but I haven't watched next week's stuff yet, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I can't wait. Yeah. But that's next week. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Check us out. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, because our podcast never comes out on the same day twice. So, Black Christmas. You picked this last week for us to watch. I knew of the 74 version. I'm not sure I'd ever seen it, but I knew it existed. It was kind of one of those like, hey, if you're going to watch horror, like if you're going to see some of the old school, like original, OG horror movies, Black Christmas is one of the ones to watch, which is cool because a lot of the stuff from that first movie did it before some of the bigger names did it. There's a lot of things in that movie, which we're not talking about a lot, but I know. Did you watch the old one before this? Did you ever pull it up?
No, I didn't get a chance.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it before, but it's been.
I'll bring
it
up
doesn't
a few
even
things.
matter.
It's not a big deal. There's a few things that show up in the old movie that are kind of hearkened to or done completely in the 2006 version, but are also things that have been done across the horror genre. This is 74 we're talking, so before Halloween, before a lot of the main big name ones. You've got like the first person killer view, so they actually made a rig that like the cameraman could mount the camera to himself and then like climb up stuff and come in windows and you could see his hands. Like that was one of the first times you'd seen that like in horror movies. Like it was that whole like first person view of the bad guy type thing.
Through his eyes, kind of thing, yeah. The
other big thing, and it's kind of hearkened to in the newer movie, but it's been updated, but it's one of those, the call is coming from inside the house tropes from horror movies where like they go and they trace the call and they're like, oh, it's coming from inside the house, everybody freaks out. It's like a whole, it's an old...
Basic scream, everybody. Yeah, everybody's... Yeah.
But it's cool. The only thing that I'd like... And they spent probably too much time on it in the original movie, but it was really cool because it's old technology. So they actually showed you how they trace a phone call in the 70s. Like in 70s, you still had like Pennsylvania 65000 is like your, it wasn't like area code and then your 7-digit phone number. It was your, I don't know I forget what they call it. I'm not that old, but it was a word and then your number. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
It's the jazz song Pennsylvania 65000 is a phone number. Like that's a phone number. So just forget about it. Anyways, they show you how that happens in the 70s. So you literally have them, they already have the trace set up. So they get the call at the station the same time the house gets it. And then the station, there's a guy that's literally at the phone company or at the switchboard, which is this giant room of all these different it looked like it was like car pistons, like moving around, switching numbers, doing all that stuff. And he's going through tracing this call and he's actually tracing it, not like digitally. He's going, okay, that one's going to, and he's running through the room, following to the next line and like going to where it's coming at the end of like the third or fifth time of him trying to do this. He calls back and says it's coming from the house to the detective. He's like, no, you idiot. That's where the call's, going into. He's like, no. That's where it's coming from as well. And it's what took him so long to get the trace right, because it was going all over the place right back into the same house. And so then you get the whole like them calling them back and then trying to get them to like get out of the house like at that second. So it's the big climax at the end. It's really good. Like the movie's fantastic. And it's in a lot of stuff. If you think,
yeah, I mean, it's got great reviews.
Oh yeah,
it's always one of the movies everyone's like you said before. If you dabble in horror and then all of a sudden you get hooked in it, you're like, this is eventually one of the movies you find and you go, all right, let me see how it kind of got started.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It's not real gory. It has a lot of kills in it, but it's very, it's that style where they left more of it to your imagination and stuff. They didn't just show the killer ripping someone's fucking eyeball out. But I mean, it had the lady who plays Lois Lane in the original Superman movies. I don't know her name. I am Googling it now because she deserves for me to say it.
God, that bothers me.
Margot Kidder. She's in Black Christmas, the original one too. And she plays the drunk girl, like the one who's always got a drink in her hand the whole movie, like the one from the 2006 version. I was like, oh, that's what we're going. So we have to have the drunkie, we have to have the nerd one, we have to have the the jock, we have to have the smart mouth one. It's great. Like you can actually, the names aren't the same because the names in the new movie, they all correspond to people who've put out Christmas albums, like Elvis Presley. Like one of them's last name is Presley. One of them's name is like Ella, which is like Ella Fitzgerald, all that kind of stuff. Like there's every single one of them, but I think one has a name that relates to somebody who's done a Christmas album, which is kind of just there you go. Something you know now you didn't know before.
Yeah, that's cool though.
But yeah, so the 2006 version. Tell me your history with it. What is your love of this movie? You picked it. Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, I think it just has like the right horror elements in it for me, right? Like I don't mind gory horror movies, but I also don't like horror movies that are just like we're going to be gory to be fucking gory, like Human Centipede type shit. Right. And stuff like that. I mean, even if it's like, oh, we're going to rip the intestines out and like watch them slow eat intestines or whatever. All right, cool. That's zombie flick. Yeah, no big deal. Right. But when it's just like that weird point where we're going to try to do something scary, but it's almost like, dude, that's just gross. Right. Like
it's not scary anymore. It's just gross.
It's not scary anymore. Now it's become like a medical documentary that's just kind of like making me a little squeamish. Like, that's not scary to me, right? Like, and you alluded to earlier, like he rips the eyeballs out. Like to me, that's like his personal touch.
Agreed.
Right? That doesn't bother me per se. I don't find that gory, but the way the character looks, like I utterly hate the way the character looks. Like if I saw that shit, like looking through my fucking glass window somewhere, or even broad daylight at the end of my driveway, I'd be like, fuck no, dude. Like, not happening.
So he has jaundice, some form of jaundice, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, but he's not jaundice like Sin City jaundice child molester guy, right? Like he's not.
He's pretty fake yellow.
Well, no. Yeah. Like no, I'm saying he's a fake yellow, but he still looks human. Like the dude in Sin City. Like his face was scrunched down, his cheeks were overly large. Like you could tell he was overly exaggerated to be gross. Like this dude just looks like a mentally unstable person that has jaundice. Like his eyes are weird. I don't like the way his eyeballs look at you when you like have the couple flashes and like close-ups to him.
And yellow.
Well, and plus he's fucking huge. Right? Like when you actually see the dude like standing, not because they always film him briefly and like coming in and stuff, but like when you saw him like just sitting in that rocking chair, like that rocking chair doesn't come up to like the back of his neck. Like this is a large guy. And so the movie always just struck that like this could be real nerve to me. Like not, oh, he's in my house kind of thing, but like I could run across some weird ass guy like that, and it always just kind of stuck with me. And right. And it was, I like the sorority house killings, and I like the deaths in the movie, and how everybody, like all of that was good for me. But this character, and especially when you like kind of get the twist of the brother sister kind of like whole thing, like it just always weirded me out to my core, man. I was like, this is one of those movies that, and it was another one of those movies where I didn't think it was going to be that great, and it actually turned out being a lot better than I thought it would. Like I was pleasantly surprised with it at the end of it.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't deserve the scores that it's gotten online at all. Like it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it doesn't deserve the 15% critic and 37% audience on Rotten Tomato. It doesn't deserve the 22 on Metacritic, and it doesn't deserve the 4.6 on IMDb. I mean, IMDb has the highest rating on it, and I would give it more in the 50 to 60 range. I wouldn't give it in the 90s like Evil Dead 2, but it's not a bad one. It's not bad like that.
No, it's definitely not bad like that, but this is just, like, all of these movies are really just going to kind of be a movie I stumbled upon, and it's like, I guess the only way to describe it is when you watch something and it just beginning to end, it just clicks with you. You're like, all right, man, like that was cool. Like, thank you for taking me on that ride. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, well done on you. And I think you were telling me that this was one of those movies where like the producers kept coming in going, or the big wigs. I don't know who it was, but like kept coming in going.
It was Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, it was a Weinstein?
Yeah.
Okay.
He would come on set. So here, I'll give you a little bit of background. So this movie's directed by Glenn Morgan, who before this movie directed Willard, which is a remake of a less known horror from the 70s as well. If you've ever seen it. I've never seen Willard. I know of it, but it's about his Willard, Glenn Morgan's Willard is the one that had.
You can do it because he's got such a unique name.
Crispin Glover was in it. He's the main character for his, and you read it all. I read it all across the internet. People aren't running to the movies to see Crispin Glover. Like they weren't in the mid 2000s, that's for sure. These days, everybody's kind of like, hey, he's kind of weird. I want to go see what he's done because he's done some weird shit here recently, which has been really good. He's on. In fact, Crispin Glover is in American Gods, which we're going to review season 2 when it starts. I don't know when it's going to start next year, but we're going to review that. And if you have you seen season 1 yet?
No, I gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's a great freaking show.
Yeah, Crispin Glover's. He's one of those guys that's like almost in the same threshold as like a Daniel Day-Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Like he always does. I don't want to say always, but he like does these offbeat roles, right? Like even in like Back to the Future, like he plays like a weird guy. Like he can do this perfect if he wants to be like kind of shy guy and you're almost comfortable around him, and then he can immediately flip it to make you like the most uncomfortable person like to be around. Like watching him, you're like, mm-mm. Like in Willard, like he does a really good job in Willard of almost making you feel bad for him.
Have you seen Willard?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Nice. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know anything about it. I know there's a rat or rats plural and the guy who runs them all. That's all I know.
I mean, that's really like no even point to like offbeat into Willard. Willard's either one of those movies you watch and you're like, I appreciate that, or you went, what the fuck was that about?
Right, gotcha. So Glenn Morgan directed and wrote this. He's a huge fan, as you can tell, of like 70s horror / he has a respect for it to the point where Bob Clark, the guy who directed the original 1974 Black Christmas, and also, by the way, A Christmas Story, if you didn't know that, the same guy who directed the original Black Christmas also did Christmas Story. In fact, the leg lamp is in this movie, 2006, the 2006 version. The leg lamp is there on purpose. So Bob Clark was one of the producers. I saw some behind the scenes stuff. Him and Glenn would sit down and Glenn would discuss the way he was going with it. And, it was his idea because in the original movie, in the 74 version, the only thing you get to understand or know about Billy is the phone calls. And during the phone calls from the 74 version, you actually get a lot of the story that we see the actual flashbacks to in this movie. I'm going to say your movie because you picked it. So we'll say your movie for the 2006 version. So in your version, Glenn decided to show it to us. But in the 74 version, Bob wasn't able to do that with it. So he did it all on the phone. So it's all there kind of, but it's not spelled out for you. He's just saying these crazy shit. Yeah, he's just saying some creepy, crazy shit on there, and he's doing it in all the different voices. So he's doing his voice, the sister's voice, the mom's voice, the dad, like the stepdad. He's doing all the voices on these phone calls, like by himself. Like he's doing the scenes out on the phone call. It's really creepy.
Crazy.
It's really creepy the way he does it. It's great. I wasn't sure though, because our friend of the show, Brian J. Jones, tweeted that there was 2 of like his most pants crappingest scenes in a horror movie from the original one, and I'm not sure which 2 they were. I'm gonna have to reply back to him and ask him which 2 they were, because I watched it and I was like, there was some good like get in your head type stuff. There was a couple of jump scares, but that wasn't the type of movie that anything in the 70s was. Not where it would actually work. Not where I was actually like, ooh, but like, even the part where like he grabs her out of the closet, like at the very beginning, like through the plastic, like it wasn't done fast enough to like be scary, not compared to these days standards. So
yeah, like that's the shame. Like, don't get me wrong, like they're films that stand the test of time, right? And even, I don't know, like we'll just throw Citizen Kane out there.
You do like every week. You say Citizen Kane every week on this show for some reason.
Do I?
I know you've at least mentioned it a few. At least
no way. I call bullshit on that.
Well, you don't listen to him anyway, so you couldn't even back.
No, that's true. You could tell me whatever, and I'd be like, "God damn it, you're right," because I don't ever re-listen.
I distinctly remember asking you in the past whether or not we've even seen that, and we're like, "No, we haven't seen that movie."
Right? Okay, but we've all seen clips of it.
Right.
Or stills or whatever. Like, if you've ever researched anything about film, you've stumbled across something of it.
Right.
But even though that movie stands the test of time because of its storytelling, like, if you watched it, it's so far back in time, right? Like, that you're just like, all right, I can see how people were like, oh, this is cool, or like whatever. Like, you understand behind it. You're like, but I also get why this is a really good film because this is a good story.
Right.
Like, that's the problem sometimes with like horror films, because if you're anyone past the 70s that like was born in the 80s, but you're probably not going to find them until you're later. And then you've been like exposed to this like 90s action and the way they've kind of brought in CGI and how they can do this other shit. Like, when you go back and watch something like that, it's almost impossible to be scared by it because of the desensitized, and like you're just desensitized to that shit because of the environment that we've all grown up now with, the horror that's just come and the fact that we all had the internet.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it's, very few things from that time frame. Even if you go into some of the 80s stuff, some of the mainstream horror stuff, there's not jump scares. There's more unease or like dread, or maybe even a little terror. It depends. Like the one I always go to is it Halloween or is it? I think it's Halloween 3. The scene in the hospital where the nurse is at the far end of the hallway and she's doing her room checks, and she checks one room and she goes in and checks another room, and she comes out, and as she comes out walking across, there's a cloaked figure like in a white sheet with a big giant set of fucking shears, and he goes after her. And you don't see the end result. You don't see it happen, but he goes to like cut her head off. But like the way the camera zooms in and like just the dread that you're going to feel for what you're looking at, like that's honestly still scary to me. But it's, it's not ripping somebody's eyeball out or it's not hostile. It's not, gross. It was just that like everything. If you watch like The Omen from back in the day, or you watch, like we said, like This Black Christmas from the 74 version, it's more of that building the dread, which is kind of fun. But that's a fun ride too, and it's in and of itself.
Oh yeah, no, like classic films do a much better job of like emotionally, like latching into like your core emotions, where a lot of stuff that you and I would have grown up on that would have kind of came out at the same time was like, let's see how much blood we can spill out of something, or let's see how it looks when a limb is like ripped off now that we're in like color. And it was just always this overexciting, like, hey, we know how to make packet blood spray now. Like, right. It was this crazy slashing stuff, and which was very shocking the first time you see it. But the more and more you see it, you're like, all right, like that's not even a realistic blood splatter or whatever, right? And then you go back and watch something like the 74 Black Christmas, and it's like the action of the horror is not nearly as shocking to say, but the suspense build up to it is like you get sucked in a little bit more. Like there's more of an emotional and environmental feel to it, where stuff like you were saying, like the hostel is almost, you feel weird, like you're trapped in the hostel, like you kind of have that vibe stuck with you, but at the same time you're like, all right, I mean, I know, like, bad shit's gonna go down, so it's at this point in the movie you're just like, well, what are they gonna up the ante to? Right? Like, that's how you feel about it. You're like, okay, I know if I click on this link, I'm about to look at this, just the most disgusting things I've seen. Like, that's how you feel about it. Where a lot of classic horror films were like, like, they made it to the point of where you would get to the link and you go, you know what? The way this thing makes me feel about clicking on this, I'm not sure I want to do that. Right? Where newer movies made you want to click on it because they got you excited about like seeing the untold carnage you've never heard of before, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm with you. But yeah, so the 2006 version with Bob Clark being attached to it and him and Glenn actually having like a friendship and Glenn bouncing off ideas with Bob, and like they were in it together, and Bob was like, okay, I'm not directing this. He's like, I love what you guys are doing. Like, that's what I saw one clip of him. They're on set. He was like, you guys are doing great. He loved the backstory they were able to show. He loved a lot of what was happening and the homage it was playing to his original. But then, like I said, like you were talking about earlier, this is a classic, like after, I would probably say after the turn of the millennia, like after 2000, probably even before then, but it's been real noticeable because now we have the internet and people talk and someone will find out about it and it'll go, viral. So one of the numerous times where the production, or the people producing the movie, like the company, like the Weinstein Company, they would come on set, they'd look at the dailies and go, no, we need more gore. We need more of all of this. Fuck your story. Give me more blood. Give me more kills. Give me another higher body count. Do more. And it's where they end up fucking up movies.
Yep.
Just fucking them up. And literally leave the directors alone. Like, stop. You don't know. Okay, time and time again, you do this. And time again, it doesn't work. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, you have money and a vehicle to put these movies out there, but you don't know what you're doing behind a camera. You know as much about doing stuff behind a camera as you and I do, Corey.
Oh yeah, well, it's the same principle with sports ownership,
right?
Right. It's like
living in DC.
Yeah. Hey, dude, you hired a GM,
right?
Who's the guy that's supposed to go, all right, I'm going to get all the personnel from the coach, and then the coach and I are going to go, hey, these are the best guys that put it all together. And that's how it's supposed to go. And most successful organizations are the one where the owner goes, all right, I hired those two right people. They're going to take care of my ship.
Right.
And it's the guys that come in and go, hey, I want to be one of the team guys to be the player, but I also feel like I know a little bit about football. Let's go hire and pick up the guys that I like.
The ultimate armchair quarterback.
Those are the guys, yeah. And those are the teams that do really shitty on a regular basis.
I.e. the Skins, the guy that owns the Cowboys to a certain degree.
Yeah, like Jerry Jones, the guy who's the guy that owns the Cowboys, like he does enough to keep it entertaining, so everyone will always be hooked to whatever the Cowboys do, but at no point has he ever done enough to go, I put that winner together, because when he was winning,
he wasn't doing it.
It was Jimmy Johnson doing it.
Right. Hey, speaking of football, because this is what we do. Did I read somewhere that ESPN is not going to be showing the national anthem this year? Like they're just not, they'll be airing commercials during the national anthem, so we don't have to deal with the drama of who's kneeling and who's not, because Lord knows our president only gets his news from watching television. So if he's watching a game, he'll have NFL Red Zone on and everything, and they'll be like, not kneeling. Let me tweet about it. Like fucking, all that shit. I think I saw a title of an article, but I'm not sure if I clicked in and read it. I know I didn't read it, so
no,
I didn't know if you saw that.
I haven't seen anything like that, but honestly, I've always been one of those people that's like, why the fuck is the national anthem being aired right now?
Right. Who needs to see someone sing it? Well,
especially for television purposes. Like, if you're there in the stadium, and usually it's like because most of the time, unless it's a really, really big event, like, say, the Super Bowl or something like that, where I'm like, cool, the national anthem or whatever song it is they decide to play, like, you hired someone specifically for this big event, air it, cool, but most of the time, like, it's a local artist who's there, or even if they're famous, they grew up in the area.
Right.
Right? Something like that. Like, that's for the crowd. That's for the people there. Like, give me another fucking 45 seconds of a clock commercial or a cologne perfume commercial that makes absolutely no fucking sense. Like, I don't need to, the only thing I want to watch in the sporting events is the game itself.
Right. And I'm just Googling it right now while you were talking, and I am correct. ESPN is not going to be airing the national anthem on Monday Night Football. So at least one night we won't have to worry about anybody bitching about it.
Well, you know, and I mean also like like that's a smart thing. Like that, not because it's not going to show the protest, but it's going to deny the biggest fucking bigot towards this whole protest thing a way to see what's going on. Like that's how I'm viewing
Agreed.
that.
I do not care what you do. It is and that's the whole point about, and I don't want to sound like I'm standing on my America soapbox, but the whole point of freedom of speech is that, yes, I can say that I hate the president and I don't go to jail. Like, there's countries in this world that you can't do that. But freedom of speech, the only thing you can't do in America is you can't run into a crowded building and yell the word fire, because that's different. That's not freedom of speech. That's inciting, like, fear and all kinds of shit and could hurt people. But then you have...
I mean, that's like running into a public building and, like, trying to get someone to believe that the building is on fire. It's the same thing as running into, like, I don't know, a convention of people that are scared of spiders and, like, running in saying, oh God, I just dropped a glass full of spider babies or something like that. Like, you're specifically going in there with the act of trying to terrify the people.
The AA meeting, the Arachnid Anonymous meeting. Like, did somebody see my jar of baby spiders?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was, I'm freaking out now. But yeah, that's the whole, and to be honest with you, if I were to play, I don't care. Like, I don't care. You want to protest certain things, great. Good. Honestly, the stuff that people are, that is, things need to be talked about. What I would really like to do is see somebody kneel on Sunday and then be on national news talking about the issue on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand your protest. Now do something. You have a stage.
Well, that's the
people are listening to you.
Like, well, that's part of the problem. Is like no one is getting to that point. Right. Like I can't remember what player it was, but he had like basically just written cue cards, and they would ask him questions about preseason training, and he would just be like, 10,000 children dead and da-da-da-da-da.
Nice. Hey, good.
And like, they would ask him a stance on kneeling, and then he would bring up another major issue. Like, he's like, look, we're not talking about this other shit. Like, this is just, like, these are the reasons we're kneeling. And he was giving, like, factual evidence of, like, why was going on. But then, no one else, like, ever gets to those questions. Like, they never ask him those questions. Like, they'll just be like, will you be kneeling on Sunday? And he's like, let's just say they're like, yeah, I am. They'll go, oh, hey man, how's that coverage going to go against, this top receiver in the league? And they just kind of brush right by, yeah. and then the president will say something, and then everybody will get on their shit and they'll go, well, why hasn't the NFL made a fucking decision on this? And it's like, well, because you guys are trying to tell people that they can't do something.
Right.
And that is where you're fucking up to begin with.
Right.
Like, you can't, this isn't like they're not wearing their uniform to work. They're doing that. They're just saying, hey, this great country you guys are claiming to behold ain't really that fair to us, and this needs to be brought to attention. And then now you guys are coming in going, well, that's kind of bad for business.
Right.
We're not going to let that happen.
Right. Yeah, it's another rabbit hole we could go down. There isn't a good answer to it, but I'd like to see, I don't care what they do on Sundays. I'd like to see them also discussing. I liked what you said about the guy. I had not seen the guy whoever it was doing the cue cards, because you know why we don't know who it is? Because nobody talked about it after it happened. That's why. They need to get on something else other than the ESP, get behind the mic behind something else.
Yeah, and it's the other leagues, like specifically the NBA. Like, the NBA has embraced the culture change, whether it, like example, Allen Iverson, when it was like, there was the Iverson rule, you guys got to wear suits to the league now. But the NBA is like, hey, you guys can have custom shoes. You can, like, the NBA has almost recently, it has adjusted with the times, like how the flow is, how it is backing their players. Like, they're like, no, we understand that our business model thrives on having the best talent. The NFL still is under this owner's delusion, and they're all basically white, is like, you guys are gonna still just do everything we say.
Right.
Like that's what it's boiling down to.
Right. It's literally 21st century plantations.
It is.
I'm sorry.
Dude. It is, man. Like, and especially when you hear some of this shit about these owners. Like, I think it was like the Clippers owner before he got ousted as being a giant racist. You know, used to bring his friends into the locker rooms and would be like, "Look at my beautiful black athletes."
Right. God.
Like, you know, like, what the fuck, man? Like, these people aren't here to showcase. Yes, you may own the team, dude, but it's a business. Mm-hmm. This isn't like you own the people.
Yeah. No, but to them it is. Oh man.
Yeah, and that's the problem, man. And that's like the mentality. And the problem is, even if there's like NFL owners that say disagree with this, like not a whole lot of them are going, yeah, man, like we need to change. Like, I'm backing these guys. Like, there's been a few owners that have come out and gone, I'll pay any fines.
Yeah, isn't that
whatever.
I
think Miami's ownership said that.
What did I hear about Jerry Jones? What is he doing about it? I forget. Oh, no one's. What did he say? I can't remember.
Well, no, he came out with one that was like, my players will toe the line during the anthem because that's how we do it in Dallas. But then you also had him like last year kneeling with the players at one point too. Mm-hmm. And then it got to the point where I don't know if it was like the NFL, like wherever Jerry Jones's tier is, you know, within the NFL, there's like the NFL umbrella still is over him.
Right.
I think the actual like NFL core group of people that would speak to NFL owners was like, you just don't talk about the anthem anymore. Everything you're saying is just fucking the situation up. Just stop talking about it. And then like a day or two later, he's come out and he's like, I'm just not talking about the anthem anymore. He's like, we're just done. We're just done with it. And that's what like all the owners are trying to do. And it's like, you can't brush this under the rug anymore, homie.
Yeah.
Like you guys made this a big deal and you need to come to a solution about it. And the first one you guys came out with was really, really wrong. You need to revise that shit quick.
Yeah, right.
And they're still haven't done that.
No, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens this season. What the NFL decides to do. What TV, like, I like that ESPN's like, we're not gonna help the controversy, so we're not even gonna air the stupid thing. And I think this season something will give, either the protests will become more, whether it be, okay, we're kneeling, now we're gonna do this, and also something else, like to further increase the protesting, like visually on screen. Maybe something that lasts further than the national anthem. You know, we're all wearing something, you know, a black stripe on something, or we're all wearing a, you know.
Well, see, that's the problem. Like, they have, like, strict uniform rules.
Right.
You know, like, they get fined if their socks, if they go, example, like, their socks are supposed to be pulled up into their pants. Mm-hmm. And if they have a play where, like, their sock comes down and stays down for long, like, they'll get a fine for that. You know, I mean, it's something that probably is like pennies to us.
Them.
Right? You know, it's like them, yeah. You know, but I'm saying it would be the equivalent of pennies to us. Right. You know, like, whatever, you know, but yeah, there's like, they can't do like custom gloves and shit like that. They're like, nope, get that out of here. You know, and if someone is creative enough to find a way around it.
Right.
They immediately amend it.
Well, but it'll like, last through the year usually. Usually it's the next set of rules, you know, coming into it. You know, the next year they'll change it, right? Or is there stuff that happens during the year?
No, because it'll like say stuff with the uniform, like that rule's so broad that they'll just sit there and throw a flag or fine the shit out of it for that whole year until finally basically it's almost like a class action lawsuit where everyone's like, yo, like the NFLPA is like, dude, you can't fine someone $70,000 throughout the year because of
socks,
purple tennis shoes or whatever, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, so I think we got on this tangent because we were talking about the producers messing shit up, right? People going in. Okay, good. But yeah. So
and then I equated it to sports because that was the only thing I could think of where ownership
messes shit up.
Routinely comes up and fucks something
up. Very true. But yeah, so even with them messing it, even with the Weinstein Company messing with it as much as they did, you know, it is a decent movie to watch. It is genuinely has its good scary parts. It has a genuine good story. It's a short. In fact, it's way shorter than the 74 version. The 74 version takes place over weeks of these calls and like before Christmas time, and then through at the ending. It takes place over at least a few days, if not like a week's time, I believe. And because one of the girls is like the girl who's missing in this movie because she's meeting her sister and nobody could find her. Like one of the first kills, in the same kind of character in the original is gone for like days, and like her dad's coming to meet her, and like he's a main part of the thing. He's like, she's supposed to be here, and then that's how he gets the cops involved because they're trying to look for her. And so yeah, it's interesting. But this one, it's a nice compact story. It takes place over literally like one night, maybe like two total, really.
Yeah.
And it's good.
It's basically 24 hours,
pretty much. Yeah. And the best part is with the 2006 version, at least the US version, because I was reading my notes that actually the very ending in the hospital room with the shock paddles, that's the end of the UK version. The movie stops right there. Like when she kills the sister, and that's it.
Huh.
Right. And I
did not know
and
that.
The whole other ending is only in the US version, or at least not in the UK version. But the ending of the 74 version is like the greatest thing. It's actually really awesome because it's more of that, like I said, that dread and that terror they build into you. But we can talk about that maybe towards the end. But yeah. So this one starts what? It's like Christmas Eve. It is Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah. The people listening are like, oh God, we're not towards the end
yet.
We're not
towards the end yet. I'm 2 hours into this friggin' thing. We won't go scene by scene. We'll just kind of jump through the whole plot pretty much. We don't have to walk you scene by scene, but it's Christmas Eve. It's a house full of sorority girls. There's a house mom there. By the way, the house mom is played by one of the original actresses from the original movie, the 74 version. So that was cool that Glenn Morgan went and pulled one from there. So she's the house mom now, because the old movie had a house mom as well, like a sorority house. Like it's a person who lives there and like kind of, it doesn't wait on the girls, but she's kind of like I don't know. I've never been in a fraternity or, so anything. So are there house dads in fraternities? Probably not.
No, fraternity is a little more looser, but most sororities have a house mother. But a lot of times, like nowadays, unless you're in like a sorority you see like in the movies where it's a very large, well-funded house, like the house mother is usually then someone who's like a caretaker for the home as well, who used to be a sorority sister and gets paid by the sorority.
Right.
Most of the time to basically upkeep the house, induct new girls, and kind of teach them the way as they go, but kind of stays off-put unless the cops are called.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Nice.
But in smaller situations, it's just usually like a senior.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a sorority house, and it's like and most of the time that's why only seniors live in fraternal and sorority sister homes. Because it's like, we're not letting you fucking new kids who are like, oh, let me experience everything, live in these fucking houses. Like, you're going to just destroy it.
Right. Everybody who's 21 and over.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what it was. I remember, my fraternity, it was like, we had a couple like, because it was George Mason, so everything was satellite housing. There wasn't like there was fraternity row or anything like that where like it's all joined together. But it was basically like, dude, if you were not in the fraternity for like 2 years, basically if you weren't a junior and up, they were like, go live in the school apartments. Or if you and some other younger guys want to go get a townhome or apartment somewhere, go right ahead. But you're not living here.
Nice. But yeah, so it's that situation. All the girls are kind of discussing going home for, who's going home, who's staying around. They've got Christmas presents under the tree. They're all doing like a Secret Santa thing. One girl's upstairs. She's the first kill, and it's like, the first time we see someone get something happen to their eye in this movie, and there's got to be like 8 times. But like she's like writing, like she's doing a nice like calligraphy pen, like writing this present, and then she like puts her pen down, like reaches for her wine, and then goes to reach for the pen again, and it's gone, and you're like, ooh, shit.
Yeah, something bad's about to happen.
And they put it...
Yeah, because when they're doing the gift exchange, this is basically your whole introduction into Billy, too. Mm-hmm. Because they're like, it's weird that we leave a gift for Billy. Like, I don't know what girl it was, but she was pitching such a fit about leaving a gift for some estranged psycho that used to live in the house. But I tell you what, man, that house mother, like, it's tradition. Like, we've been doing it for fucking ever.
Right.
I feel at that point, especially when you come to find out that he tries to break out every year, like, I wouldn't be the one person that was like, fuck tradition. I'm like, hell no, man, let's keep this streak alive.
I got you a PS4.
Like, yeah,
I got you a PS4.
Yeah. Yo, Billy, what do you want, man? Got you covered, brother. Got you covered.
Right. Yeah, way to buck tradition, and all of a sudden, all this shit happens.
Yep. That's why you don't fuck with tradition that isn't hurting anybody, right? Like, if it's just a tradition and it kind of goes under the radar and it kind of keeps things moving, keep those traditions alive. Like, those are the oil we need for this world. But the really fucking hateful ones, like, stop that shit. No one needs that.
Right. So that girl gets killed, whatever her name is. It doesn't even really matter.
None of their names
do matter.
Because this isn't like the way the girls die off in this movie. It is even like they were building for one of them to be the hero. It was basically just kind of like,
you were left.
Whatever names got pulled out of the hat during the script was like, okay, looks like Tina dies here.
Mm-hmm. True.
You know?
I mean, and the actresses who are playing them, this is 12 years ago, because it's 2018 now. And this is 2006.
This is kind of one of those, like, before they hit it movies.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of these young ladies you will recognize from something else. And you'll be like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm. So Katie Cassidy is in it. She plays, she's on the Arrow series now. And she was in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street as well. Not that anybody watched that. She's actually been in a few horror movies to be exact. Yeah,
she's one of the more horror veteran actresses.
But yeah,
on the list. I think.
She's big name now because she plays Laurel Lance on the Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow series. So she's pretty awesome. She kicks ass. Michelle Trachtenberg, she's kind of fallen off since her big times and like Euro Trip and stuff like that. But she, her Buffy fame and all that good stuff. But so she was actually hesitant to take the part because she wasn't doing horror because she just done Buffy for so long. But she took the part, and then during the filming, she was doing all kinds of research on serial killers. So like when the first quip, when you meet the girls and the girls talking about, I don't know why we leave a Christmas present for a serial killer. And she goes, no, he's a spree killer because he only kills on Christmas and he only she like went and like explained why she was wrong about what she was calling him. Like that's because she was doing all the research on set, like about serial killers. So, and then a few others, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. You recognize her from, she was in 10 Cloverfield Lane. She was in, I think she plays John McClane's daughter in Live Free or Die Hard, at least that movie, if not another one. So she's a somebody now. And then who's the other one that I recognized?
I don't know. Like, I recognize them all by face.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people from the Final Destination movies are in this movie. There's like 3 total, I think.
Okay.
Glenn Morgan wrote Final Destination and Final Destination 3. So those are his movies as well. The guy who directed this one and wrote this one. So yeah.
Gotcha.
So anyways, we meet Billy too in the opening of the movie. He's at the mental institution and it's one of those, he's telling the security guard, I'll be out for Christmas or whatever.
Again, it's a movie hospital where no lights fucking work properly at all. Because I've never once been in a hospital where there wasn't adequate, if not intrusive lighting.
Right. I don't need to see that. Turn that down.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's like the security guard who's been there probably since the institution was built itself, because he's the guy that basically gives you the whole story of Billy.
Right.
And then there's the weird, I don't even know how to like categorize the guard that was pushing the cart.
Oh, the guy passing out food. He's the standard creepy guy.
Yeah, but he's like, fuck, what's his name? Henfield. Like he's like a Henfield character. Like he's supposed to be. Am I right on that? Is it Henfield?
What is it? What are you trying to say?
It's like it's like Dracula's like servant person.
Oh,
like his,
with the glasses, like from the I think I know who you're talking about. Like
his. I guess I want to use the word familiar, but I think it's wrong. Basically, he's like his human in the world.
Right.
Renfield. God damn it! Tell me I'm right.
Yes, you're right. Renfield. That's his name.
But he plays a Renfield character who's like he's kind of oily and sweaty and really just gives you this like you probably eat bugs vibe. Yet you know, like he's into some weird shit.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely that character.
Yes, that was a very roundabout way for us to get to that minor character.
But the whole point of them showing the scene of him in the asylum was because they give him like the Christmas meal, and so there's like a candy cane on it, and of course, as everyone who's ever had a candy cane, like Billy sucks it down so it's like a freaking shiv. You know, it's like a pin. I mean, it's like
it's the sharpest thing ever at the tip.
Yeah, I mean, we've all done that to candy canes. It's like, why would you ever give that to somebody who doesn't need to have something pointy? And then he does the old movie trick of hiding under the bed, and then you know the guard goes to look for him, and he's not in his room, and the guard goes rushing in because like he also has like dug a hole behind the sink in his room, so he thinks he's escaped that way, like all Andy Dufresne style.
Yeah, right. Shawshanking it.
So he runs in there and, of course, gets friggin' stuck in the neck and killed. And the other guy, the Santa, who was also visiting the ward on accident, who is like the dirtiest Santa in the world because he is completely breaking all kinds of HR laws or HR rules when he's walking down that thing talking to that nurse or whatever.
Oh, yeah. That guy is just like one giant sentence of lawsuit.
Yeah. She wasn't helping either, to be honest.
Well, no, there was. It was supposed to be taken as playful banter, but after a certain point, it was like, dude,
like stop.
You just are crossing. Everyone feels weird now.
Yeah, thanks.
Like you like if that guy was doing that, like in a public bar, like everyone would stop what they're doing and just be like, "You need to leave. You were ruining everyone's vibe. All the work that was just laid from both sexes has now been fucking significantly thrown off. You're a creep."
That's great. So yeah, he escapes, kills the Santa off screen, and sneaks out. He gets out. That's how he gets out, is like in the Santa suit.
Yeah. They show him throwing the body in the trash can, like
in a bag, like in pieces.
Well, in the Santa bag, like shoved in there. Because the best part was like, and you can't really catch it because he's actually carrying the bag like it's closed. But the reason the arm's sticking out of the bag wasn't because like the arm fell out when he threw it. It's because that's what he's been holding on to the whole time as he's been like carrying the bag through the ward.
Nice. That's gross. That's good. Okay. So he's out. So now we know that Billy's out, but the other girl just got killed before this. So now we're like, oh wait, like who's
But see the way they do it is they do the nice like double story at the same time.
Right. So you don't really know what is.
Yeah, because you have the house mother telling the story of basically Billy.
Well, that's late. That's like, right after all these scenes, but you're right.
Yeah. And the way it's filmed is you have like the guard telling the story of what he did, and then you have the mom or the house mother telling the story of how he became. Mm-hmm. And so with that girl dying, like you don't really know
what time frame you're seeing things.
What time frame like when he actually got out.
Right. But further on in the movie, it does end up being linear. So there is someone else doing the killing as well, which is the twist. I mean, we're going to spoil it for you.
Yeah, that was the big twist.
That's the big twist.
It's not just one person, it's two.
Right.
Two terrifyingly
large people.
Large, just jaundiced, hollowed-eyed people.
She wasn't jaundiced, she was just gross. And she was also she was also played by a dude, which is great, which makes it even weirder.
Yeah. I think that is one of the faces that bothers me so much because even though I know it's a guy, like, it's just, everything is ill-fitting the way it's put together. Like, it just doesn't look right. Something's off. You know, you're like, I don't care. Like, even if I thought that was a girl, and then you told me, no, dude, that's a guy, and I came to the realization that's a guy, like, it still doesn't look right. Like, it doesn't look like a dude dressed as a girl, and it's just, like, poorly done. You're like, nah, there was effort put into that, and it's still slightly unsettling the way it's put together.
Right. Yeah, the fact that it's always meant to be a woman. It's not meant to be a guy. It's just a guy in really, really, really messed up face, like, messed up, like, makeup.
Yeah, like, well, yeah, and the fact that it's meant to be a woman, like, even makes it even worse, because you're like, well, what happened?
Why are you this way?
Like, oh, you poor thing.
Is your daddy your brother? Because he is.
Yeah, he is.
So, anyways, after he breaks out, we also meet the rest of the girls, plus including Katie Cassidy's character and her boyfriend, who plays a minor part in the movie. Not minor, but he's meant to be a little bit of a red herring, like, kind of like, oh wait, is he somebody? As opposed, like, he's like a plant type thing, like he's supposed to be meant to throw you off. He kind of does it. Most of the jump scares are him. He
is the too good to be true boyfriend in the movie, and there's a sex tape. And it's the whole, like, I got to get in there before she sees it kind of thing, because it was an affair with one of the other girls in the house. And, you know, so yeah, you're right. Like, so a lot of the jump scares are like him originally sneaking into the house, and they're like, oh, what the fuck are you doing here? But he does that, and they do that thing with the camera where the lighting hits him just right, and he kind of says something like ominous. You know, but it's also relative to the conversation. So you're going, well, now I just don't know if you're like fucking with him because you're really the bad guy, or if you're just poor choice of words given the movie you're in.
Well,
you know, kind of thing.
Do you want to know why he is that way in this movie? I'll tell you, because I know you don't know why, because you didn't watch the original. Let me tell you why.
Sure.
This is what makes the ending of the original 74 version so cool and so, like, terror stricken and dreading. So, and this isn't going to ruin anything for this movie, so it doesn't matter. But a lot of the things play out similarly. Bunch of girls get killed. There's a final stand girl. It's in the sorority house, and she, you know, she's being pursued. Like, guy is on her heels. Like, she's slamming doors and locking them, and he's beating through them. But we've still never seen him ever. Like, so, and in fact, through the whole movie, you never see him. But, like, the cops learn some things, and this is the girl that has the boyfriend, and the boyfriend, to the girls, from their perspective, he could possibly be it, and then there's something that kind of, to them, verifies it. But then the cops are like, wait a second, he was there during the first call, so there's no way it could be him. But some of the girls didn't see it, so it's this girl and her boyfriend, and he comes, she's being chased by the killer, makes her way in the basement, hides behind, like, the boiler, is, like, wedged herself in a corner, and suddenly he appears at the window, breaks his way in, and in the way that you're saying it, he's saying things to her that sound ominous, but are also the same things you would say if you were a boyfriend concerned about your girlfriend who's going crazy and, like, hiding in a corner with a golf club, like, and trying to talk her down. And then the end of the movie is the cops find her, and she's beaten him to death, and she's holding his body, and she thinks she's won. But the truth of the matter is he's still in the house. Like, the guy is still there. Like, she didn't get him. She just killed it. And that's how the movie ends. And you're like, oh, shit. It's great. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, movies don't end like that anymore. It's like, it's not a happy ending. She beat her boyfriend to death, who wasn't the one who did it.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, I forgot about that. Like, I forgot that was, like, where it just stops. Yeah, I wish more movies did that. You know, like, actually, and it doesn't even need to be like a plot twist.
No, it's
right?
like,
and it doesn't even need to be a to be continued. It just needs to be a good cutting off point where, yeah, you may be mad because you're like, fuck, I want more, but it also leaves your mind to go, oh man, like, what are we getting?
Perfect example. So the very last shot of It Follows, you have the two of them holding hands, and you're watching them from behind. And then the camera switches to in front of them and them walking. And there's a person way down the sidewalk behind them walking as well, like, walking the same way they are.
Yeah,
and they don't,
and you don't know,
and then it cuts to black. You don't know if it's the demon or if it's just someone walking on the sidewalk. And it was like, because you spent 2 hours like staring at the screen, like watching, like who's walking towards them, like who's doing what, and you're trying to figure out which one's coming at them next. And it's just, and they do that. It's kind of like that, and that's a more recent one. Good for you,
And like that's cool. Like I hate when movies build up a monster, right? Like the whole time, and then basically 3 minutes after the monster's been revealed, there's like the weird scene, and then it just cuts because it's like the monster attacking, and you go, oh well, now I don't know if they're dead or not.
Yeah, that's dumb. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's like why the fuck did you just make a monster movie, man, for me to wait an hour and a half just to see the monster and then go, whoop, we're done.
Right.
Okay. Like that's just fucking that should get lashings.
What's really bad is
that should get, man.
What's really bad is that there are movies to look at and go back to and see it done right. Look at Jaws. Look at Alien. Like where you don't see the monster until the very end, and then it's done and shown to you just enough to scare the shit out of you. And most of those movies, those older movies, it was that way because things were fucking up so bad with the mechanical shark or like the alien costume that they were like, we can't show any more of this shark or it's going to look stupid. Like, and it's
find another way to film this.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is. Like, there's things out there to pull from. How are you fucking this up? I don't want to see the monster in the last 3 seconds. Show me it grabbing the camera and then running, leaping for the camera, then cut to black. That's just dumb. Then I'm like, I'm not watching anything you ever do again in your fucking life.
Yeah, like, I don't mind a cliffhanger.
Right.
Right? Like, that's cool, man. Like, leave me on the edge of my seat. Like, sometimes films are justified and need that. But when you either try to give me a cliffhanger that causes, like, a plot twist and you do it wrong, or if you just do this cut to black because, I don't know, that was the moment you thought that was the scariest time to end the film, and just leave it like, okay, well, the movie that I came to see is happening after you just cut it to fucking black. Mm-hmm. Like, all the shit that you just told me, I didn't give a fuck about. Like, when Marvel scrolls the credits, or when Marvel, like, flips the comic book, you could have done that shit at the beginning of this film to wrap up that hour and a half, and we could have had the movie we all wanted.
True. What was that one we bitched about? Which movie was that? Or was it Solo? We were bitching that, like, okay, I could have used, like, after Solo. I want to see that shit. Like, after he gets the Falcon. I can't remember which one we were talking about that we said that. Like, you could have done it in the first 15 minutes and then given me a good movie.
Yeah, well, I think Solo was one of them. Oh, Rampage didn't do it.
Yeah, no.
But, like,
there's been a few.
Bruce Willis, like Denzel's movie, Willis's movie, like, they all could have been something better.
I will have you know that I'm really enjoying not doing theater movies right now since we got so many stinkers over. Like, we reviewed like almost 20 theater movies in the course of our podcast so far, and I swear at least half of them were stinkers, like just horrible ass movies that were just the movie that week that was coming out. And I'm so glad we're doing movies now that like are good to like we enjoy watching. Even if it's just for a few weeks until American Horror Story starts, I love this.
Oh yeah, no man, this shit's fun. I got Tags coming out soon.
Oh,
that one I'm excited about. That movie's fucking hilarious.
I need to get that one when it comes out. I missed it in theaters. I know you get to see it in theaters.
Yeah, when I went out with one of my other friends.
Whatever, dude. We don't talk about that. You cheating whore. Tell me you're going to a movie. I'm like, what do you? No, you're not. I'm sitting right here.
What do you mean? I'm not next to you.
I'm such a jealous bitch sometimes. So speaking of,
were you going to say
bitches?
So speaking of jealous
really
bitches, and just roll right back into the sorority house?
That is not how you do a good segue in 2018.
That's not a good segue. Ill-advised segue.
So this is when the house mom, Miss Mac, tells the story of Billy and about how he was born jaundiced and his mom never liked him, which is weird because usually when you get this story, this was flipped because you get like the dad never accepts the son, but the mother loves him, but it's the other way around. Like the father just doted on him and the mother just fucking hated him. Drank all the time, was like always shitting on him practically. You know, she was just the worst.
That's just one of those things where you're like, okay, the original did it this way, so I'm going to flip the script but keep it the same kind of thing.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the I wouldn't even say the original because this wasn't in the original, not to this extent, but definitely the standard storyline is one, and we did the other thing, yeah. And then, like, the son, you know, it's like Christmas time, and like the son's like 5 or 6 or whatever, and like the mom tells him that Santa got shot down by the Russians or some shit, and then the dad's like, go check your, you know, special hiding spot in your closet. I left you, you know, Santa left you something or whatever. And so this is where you see like Billy's introduction to like the inner walls of the house, because he has like a hidey hole in the wall of his closet that he then uses to go elsewhere in the house.
Again, this is why you should never have gaps big enough for anything other than a small animal to move through.
In your walls.
Yeah, like I remember was People Under the Stairs when they showed that house and how you could move between the walls in that house. That to me was one of the scariest things ever. Like I immediately like made a hole in one of the walls in our house to see, and I was like, oh, they build houses differently. And my dad's like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, oh, I thought we could get between the walls.
God, you're so stupid as a child. Children are so stupid sometimes. But yeah, like the mom ends up killing the dad with a hammer, like right in front of him, and so because he found out she was having an affair, which was really odd. But you know, she didn't look like she was dragging in the dick. I'm just saying. I mean, how are you? It's not like she's, you know, beating dicks off with a stick coming at her, but she was having an affair.
Yeah, you know, dude, like, I've always wondered that about, like, people that have had affairs, right?
Like, they're gross. You're like, how is someone else lining up for that?
Right? Like, one time you look at them and you're going, what the hell? Did you? Like, especially from an outside party, when the general consensus is, no matter, like, sexual orientation or whatever, like, you just look at a person and then you look at the person that they decided to go, like, do other things with, and you go, they must have had a really good fucking personality, because I don't know where you were calling an upgrade at. Right? Like, hey, I'm not saying the beautiful person you cheated on was a good human being. I just feel like if you're gonna cheat on somebody, like when you hold the picture up to your girlfriends or your boyfriends and you're like, hey, here's the person I'm banging on the side, like, everyone in the crowd should go, well, that's really dumb. I don't agree with that idea. But side note, that person is smoking hot. Like, you know, like you shouldn't be able to disagree with the difference in the sexual, like, appearance of the two, right?
Right.
I mean, at least that,
in theory.
Yeah, at least that would be my rhyme or reason. Like, all right, you know what? If I am going to go cheat on somebody, like, they better be way more attractive than the person I'm currently with.
Makes sense. I mean, it does.
I would hope so. But yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know why, first of all, the husband stuck around.
True.
Like, that guy was just beaten into submission somehow.
All the way to the end with a hammer.
And then the fact that, like, this chain smoking, like, alcoholic guzzling, just
wearing a moo-moo, never leaving the house, look like she hasn't bathed in a month.
This wasn't look like someone who was taking care of herself in any way, was out there like choosing the guys, like going, all right, I know Johnny's going to keep coming back for seconds, like that's who I'm going to have my affair with. But then again, this probably also explains why she rapes her son.
Yeah, true. So so then her and the boyfriend, or the affair, well, the guy she's fucking, they go to bury the body like under the crawl space of the house, and like the son has made his way down there, and they see him watching them do it. So then he runs upstairs. They lock him in the attic. Like as he runs away, they lock him in the attic, and that's where he stays for a long while.
Yeah, I mean until
he's called upon to do his duties with his mom.
Yeah. That scene grossed me out so much, man. It's such a, like, and this woman, and I probably need to look at like a real picture of her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how I'm trying to say this. Like, not in this character, because she's probably a super nice person. Like, I need to read up on something, but because of this character, like, she's almost Kevin Baconed herself with me. Like, because, like, not only did she rape her child, but she's just a despicable human being as well. And I'm like, who reads a role that says, all right, gotta rape my son. I can do it.
Like, I guess this is where it's going.
Yeah. To me, I would read that and go, I can't do this. Like, there's just no way you guys could pay me enough money to do this.
Right. Yeah. The actress's name is Karen Konoval. She's been in, like, all of the Rise of the Planet of the Apes movies, all the new Apes movies, some X-Files stuff, which probably means she knows Glenn Morgan as well, because he directed some X-Files episodes, some of the newer ones from when the show came back the last few years. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, when they did the reboot.
Yeah, but yeah. So, she has an interesting role in this movie. And then, let's see what's next. So the girls come back. We come back out of the storytelling by the house mom, by Miss Mac, and we get one of the other, like, red herrings as well. Is this, like, one of the girls who's leaving for Christmas is, like, this real homely, like, with glasses and, like, just straight hair, and she gives one of the more popular ones like a gift. She's like, "Here, you're the Santa," and it's like this crystal unicorn, you know. Let's give somebody something pointy because this movie needs more pointy things in it. And so, and she's meant to be like, oh, she must be in on it. And then, like, she just disappears for a large chunk of the movie. And then only part of her reappears later.
Well, that's because she was the girl that was left to go home.
Right. We see her, and we see her as not being, like, the attractive, hot, like, sorority sisters we've already met so far. She's, like, the out of place one. We're like, oh.
Well, yeah, she's supposed to be the one that, like, you see. And first of all, she's also, again, one of those girls that they just made look ugly. Because I guarantee you take those glasses off her and actually just, like, let her put her hair behind her ears. She goes from, like, a 2 to a 10 immediately. But you're right. Like, based on the crew that we've seen so far in the movie, on initial intake of her, knowing about the weirdness in the family, she fits that oddball character where you're like, well, you don't belong here, so you must have some kind of ties to this house or something, because you're not one of the uppity bitches over there.
So, only movie that girl's ever acted in. She has done nothing else in Hollywood. That's very odd to see. But yeah, that's the only thing she's ever done, the only thing on her IMDb site.
I don't know, dude. It was a Weinstein film, man. That motherfucker may have creeped her out.
Oh, well, good for her. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
That guy needs to burn. Anyways.
Nah, that guy doesn't need to burn, man. That guy needs to go to jail and just get raped.
That would be awesome.
Over and over. Like, I hope whatever prison he ends up in, there is a large man that likes to rape other older, ugly men. Like, that's his thing.
Right.
Like, that's his type. He's like, no. I only like older, ugly men. And Weinstein is just his perpetual bitch the rest of his fucking life.
What does he say in Deadpool 2? Like, you're gonna be in the running for who has the softest mouth?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Anyways, so we get thrown this red herring with this unkempt girl who gives this weird present to one of the, you know, for lack of a better term, the hot end girls. And she's like, oh, thanks, and goes and puts it down, you know, puts it in her room or whatever. But it's a unicorn with a friggin', you know, horn on it, of course, because it's a unicorn. And that will come into play later on. And then I think they get their first phone call now, and it's a creepy voice, and the girls all put it on speaker, and they, you know, talk shit to it.
I love the phone calls.
They're good.
Like, the audio they use, like, overlaid in the multiple conversations that are, like, going on, and then how it kind of, like, fades in and out to, like, being clear, and then, like, an incoherent mesh of everything, but it's still clear enough for you to hear enough of each person's phrase, and you're like, nope, don't like that one bit at all.
Yep.
Yeah, like that. The phone calls, not the, you know, horror trope of the phone calls coming from the house. Like, I don't care about this, but the actual audio they used for the phone call is like one of my favorite parts of the film. Like, I love the way that all came together.
Right. And actually, right before they get one of the other kills happens right before they get the first phone call, and it's the girl. They're trying to get everybody downstairs for presents, and they're all like, they go bang on the one girl who already got killed at the very beginning. and they go bang on the next girl who's watching the porn video of her and the other girl's boyfriend from whatever. It's that girl.
Oh, yeah.
And then she gets her head bagged, and then her eyes ripped out, like her eye ripped out or whatever. That's when we see the first one of that. And
yeah, because that ends up being like the signature item on the Christmas tree.
Yeah, just eyeballs. When they're not being eaten.
And guys, it's not like eyeballs like you think. It's not like a Halloween jar full of eyeballs, or even it's like the nasty eyeball where
the ocular nerve is running to it.
The nerve endings is still on the back, and there's that like fleshy, meaty piece that hugs the back of the eyeball, and you see like the tentacle like trail come down. It's eyeballs like that.
Yeah, it's gross.
Like gross looking eyeballs.
Yep. Yeah, it's gross. It's gross. In fact, there's a scene that was filmed when they were trying to get more gory that they ended up not using for it. And I think it's when Michelle Trachtenberg's character gets murdered later on up in the attic, but he pops her eye out, and then he's dragging her across the floor using the socket like a bowling ball. Like he's got his hand in his finger in the socket and is dragging her by her eyeball socket across the floor. And I was like, nah, I don't need to see that. Because they have it. I've seen the clip from the behind the scenes, and I'm just like, I don't need to see that. That's cool. We can leave that out.
I'm good.
Good. So at this point, has the sister shown up yet, or is that after presents and stuff? Maybe some presents are opened. Then we get more backstory about Billy, about when he was 12, his mom went up to the attic and fucked him and got pregnant because her boyfriend couldn't get it up or was impotent or both, and she gets pregnant and has a daughter.
Yeah, she was all drunk, tried to go get it on with boyfriend. He was passed out, and so she got the great idea of like, put a baby in me. And
did she say that to him? Or something?
No. But God damn it, she does. I think mutter something fucking creepy.
And then it's like when the daughter's born, it's like she's my family now, and like he sees it from his hidey spot or whatever. And later on, when it's Christmas time and Agnes is the name of the daughter, she gets she's getting her presents, and then
I feel bad for anybody named Agnes.
Yeah, well, agreed.
Like when you hear the name Agnes, do you think of a good person?
No. Well, I just think of old people, not a bad person.
Right? Okay, so that was my next question. Like, does the name only strike like old people in your head?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like when I hear Agnes, I think of only old people, but Agnes to me also is like one of those names that like your parents named you that, and then you just grew up to despise it, so you're a mean person because everybody fucking was like, oh, Agnes, what are you, like 80 when you're fucking like 12, the whole time, and you just grew to hate everybody, so like you're just spiteful.
Yeah.
Like that's where Agnes takes me. I'm like, man, and I bet you there's probably plenty of Agneses out there in the world that are just lovely, lovely people.
Yeah, if you're Agnes and you're listening to us now, tweet at us. Tell us how great you are.
But it's like an unfortunate name to have, because in my mind it only leads to like an old bitter person.
Yep. But yeah, so at this point in the story, in the flashback part of the story, like during the Christmas time, like he breaks out of the attic, the mom goes rushing for him, but he's already like behind the tree, and he grabs the sister Agnes and bags her head and pulls her fucking eyeball out too. And then but he kills the mom.
Well, because doesn't he say like, she's my family now or something like that?
Yes, the mother says that. That's what sends him into a rage, I think, is when she says she's my family now. The mom says it to him. But and that's like his running thing the rest of the movie is like, that's his whole like line. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like he kills the mom, he kills the dad, he makes cookies out of the mom's skin using cookie cutters. And when they
but he
bakes them and shit.
Yeah, he bakes them, so like he first he like skins her, then cuts them up with the cookie cutter and like bakes them. But the scene where he's killing her, like we've all anybody that's watched horror movies or an action movie or a war movie or some point has heard someone being bashed in, right? And there's always like that point where it's like maybe 4 bashes, and there's maybe that one kicker at like 5 where the guy like smashes him one more time and everybody kind of chuckles because you're like, haha, that asshole's got it. But in this scene, it's just someone bashing another human being, and the sound just kind of goes on a little longer than it should, and you're just like, that, I mean, as hard as he's hitting that, they gotta be like mush. Like, they're fucking mush now. Like, you got, like, stop hitting it. Like, that's where your brain starts to go, and then all of a sudden, it's like, ting! He's like fucking baking, he's all baking and shit.
Yeah.
But I like, that was one of my other favorite parts, was how the bashing as he's killing his mother, just, the sound of it just seems to go on a little longer than necessary. Like, hey, we're going to make sure you're feeling this experience.
One of the only times they don't show it to you, he's behind the kitchen counter. So all you see is him above the kitchen counter, just swinging a friggin' rolling pin just over and over. But you never see her, which is nice. So that's it. And that's when he gets, in the story, that's when he gets arrested and goes to the crazy house. Because they find him sitting at the table with milk and cookies. Gross.
Yeah, I really wish we could have, because they do another thing in this movie, and I personally hate this thing when they do this in films.
I know what you're going to talk about.
When they zoom in on someone's mouth, like, first of all, I don't like anybody's mouth being zoomed in on and talking. Like, I just don't need to see it. But someone eating, all right, even if it's something dry and crunchy, I don't need to see it. But god damn it, if you fucking give me some kind of slurpy sounding noise, it is the grossest thing in the world to me. And they zoomed in on his mouth eating those juicy chunks of flesh, and like you see his teeth, and like his lips move over exaggerated, and he's biting into it, and I'm just like sitting there the whole time like, oh, god damn it, no, just no.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
I just want to make sure everyone got the full detail.
Yeah. I knew exactly when I heard the noises, the squishy noises as he was chewing. I was like, you've got to be climbing the wall when you're watching it. And still one of your favorite horror movies.
Yep, still love it, man. I can push through.
Yeah, I'll mute it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
See, so that's pretty much all the backstory we get. About we know enough about Billy, more than we ever knew from the original movie, so he's got to tell a lot of the backstory that way. This is when Kelly, who has the boyfriend, she goes into the room and finds the porn. This is when we get like the boyfriend is like there, and it's one of the jump scares, and we're like, why are you here? And he's like, I climbed in through the window, I want to check on you or surprise you or some bullshit excuse. And we find out he was trying to erase the porn from the computer. So
yeah, because she's supposed to be sick the whole time,
right?
Yeah, and I think because Oliver Hudson's the boyfriend, and that is Kate Hudson's brother.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's from. People would probably know him from Scream Queens, Breaking Up Together, and a couple other things.
Who was he in Scream Queens?
He was the dad.
Oh, that's right. All right, so we had a couple. So the next thing that happens is a couple of major quick kills. So, or not quick kills, but major scenes. The power goes out after this whole confrontation with the boyfriend and all that shit. So that one of the girls volunteers to go, because the circuit breaker, of course, that's located in this house is like under the crawl space. So it's wintertime at night, and the lights go out, and you automatically think that it's just that's the major problem. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow, turn the lights back on. It's fine. Like, we'll light some candles. We'll be okay.
Yeah, dude.
I'm not crawling under the crawl space at night.
Nah, crawl spaces are one of my top 3. Like,
Nopes.
Never fuck with.
Hire somebody to do it. What? You need me to flip a switch? I'll hire a guy to flip that switch. I ain't doing it. So she goes under there. Even after she goes out to smoke a cigarette and drops it through a hole in the deck, which is part of the crawl space, and then hears something under the deck moving around. And she still then decides to go under the deck and investigate to go turn the switch.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't even cared if that was like, oh, that's just Thomas the raccoon, right? Like even if I knew what it was, because I've heard that sound before, just given the night it was, I'd be like, not today. I ain't checking that shit out. Not fucking happening. It.
But she does, and she goes to crawl under it and is immediately snatched. And as she's like trying to fight away, one thing she does is she uncovers the buried dad's body, Like the skull that she finds under there was what the mom and the boyfriend were burying, when they first locked Billy in the attic. So that was the skull they found. As she was like clawing, she uncovered the skull.
Yeah, she unburied the shallow grave.
And then the assailant like gets her in the back of the head with like a fucking trowel or some shit, like some gardening tool, and it made
whatever. Yeah, what is that little three-pronged fucking gardening tool? Because that's what went in the back of her head.
Yeah, so that was her death. So she's done, and then
garden trident of death,
and then the one girl who drank all the time. This is like where like somewhere in the middle of it, like it's really like the only like visual thing I had wrong with the movie was like they just randomly cut to her throwing up like at the table, like on the couch. She's just like sitting there. She's like, oh, and I was like, where did that come from? Like she's been like, yeah, we know she's been drinking all day, but it's not like she's been like super drinking all day, like where you've been showing her stumble for the past 10 minutes of film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never seen anybody throw up on themselves that was not in like either zombie mode or already passed out.
Right, but this girl's not drunk enough to throw up, but not too drunk to take a nice sexy shower that Billy can then look in on.
That's true.
From his floor eye hole.
Yeah, that's just at the right angle.
Just at the right angle, right? So we get it. We get a little eye candy there, and then so now all these girls are starting to disappear. Like everybody's starting, and drunkies they put her to bed, so she's asleep. The girl who went out to flip the switch, she's gone. I think the lights come back on though. Don't they come back on at some point, or is it just all candles from this point on?
Well, it's like Christmas lights are flickering. It's almost like there's like basically the lighting situation turns into like a sub-power routine because it's like because when they're upstairs in the attic,
there's lights.
Christmas lights are on.
Yeah, I think Billy may have flipped them back on.
Yeah.
I think he may have flipped the switch when he killed her to like not completely say that she was gone. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe I do remember seeing him flip it. Anyways, this is the point where at this point is when they're trying to like split up. Like some of the girls are like, we don't need to stay here. We should leave and go. And the house mom's like, yes, we should all go. And then no one wants to leave. Then we get like, there are sisters and all this shit.
Yeah, because at this point, one of the girls' moms is there.
Sister, half sister.
Okay, yeah.
She had showed up out of nowhere, and she was supposed to meet her, but it was the girl. They thought this was originally what like didn't throw everybody off at the very beginning of the movie, is that they thought they had already met up and left. But when she shows up, she's like, no, I never met with her. She's still here. They're like, we haven't seen her, and she's the one who got killed very first, right in the note.
Yeah. I knew that. I just didn't remember if we broke. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah, but so she shows up. I do like when the girls were like, we're sisters, we're going to stay here with our sisters. And like the house mom, she goes like look at one of the girls and gives them like a look like she's going to like agree with them. And she goes, we'll call for help when we get out of here. She's like, I'm still fucking leaving.
Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
I thought she was going to pull one of those like, okay, we'll all stay and be together. But she's like, we'll call for some help when we get out of here.
Yeah.
So her and like one other girl go to the car. To the house mom's old 1970s car, and it's having trouble starting. Once it finally starts, like the windshield is like iced over, so the house mom picks up the scraper, and the girl's like,
use it. And by the way, uses the scraper wrong, because when she's out there, she's only using the brush end.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like, yo,
start chipping, baby.
You got a thick layer of ice on there, man. You need to get that other end in there and start breaking that stuff up.
Yeah.
Then you can brush it off.
Then she gets only enough out to see the blood splatter from the inside of the car.
Yes.
And so that girl's dead. She freaks out, backs up, and this is the only one who dies accidentally. She backs up against the house and sets off a icicle and goes right through her head.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
It's like Billy was like, I would love to have seen his reaction, or I guess it could be that whoever was killing, whether it's him or the sister daughter. Like whoever was doing the killing at the car would have been like, well, I didn't have to do that. That was easy.
Right? Like if they had like a little like, oh yeah, 2 for 1.
Right. Like that couldn't got more lucky. Tonight's going really well for me.
Yeah. Killing everybody. Everybody's just dying. This is awesome.
Yeah. So all the girls inside the house are like watching the car, and like the lights are on, but like they're not moving. So they go to investigate. Like the sister the one who showed up to be with her sister, the half sister, she and one of the other girls goes and like she falls on like she slips outside on like the puddle of blood from the house mom, like where she died. So those bodies are all gone, and everybody's starting to I mean, we're up beyond freak out now. Everybody knows some shit's going down now.
Yeah, I think everybody's at the point where they're like, it's Billy.
Yeah, and even here, the girl that went out with the half sister, she she gets a bag over her head, smashed against the wall, but she escapes and runs upstairs, and everybody starts or let's see, I guess it's Melissa. Let's see what happens. Hold on, let me see. Okay, so Michelle Trachtenberg, so Melissa's character, with all the screaming going on with them investigating outside, leaves the drunk girl sleeping and goes to investigate, and then she gets head bagged, and then she gets away, and she gets into one of the rooms, and then as she's trying to get out the window, like that's when the dude chucks a hockey skate at her back of her head.
Yeah,
and like lops off like half of her skull. So that was great. I was like, man, these are some good ways to go in this movie. So Melissa's dead, Michelle Trachtenberg's character's dead, and then we get like another jump scare from Kyle, like he shows back up again. So we're all, it's one of those, we already know it's not him. So I guess I don't know if it's the director just like playing to the whole like boyfriend angle from the first movie, like how that was kind of thrown in there for the girls, even though we knew it wasn't him. So,
Yeah, I think it was just there to be like, oh, is he in on it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know he's there for a red herring and like, but I guess also you gave him his motive at the beginning of the movie and he still hasn't accomplished that. So, he'd kind of probably still keep coming around.
Right. And this is the point where Katie Cassidy's character figures out, she calls one of the girls' numbers. It's supposed to be gone. Like it rings in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kyle's like, it's not me. Let's go find out. And so he goes up, and doesn't he like get dragged into the attic by like his head?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that was great. And then he fights off for a little bit, but he ends up he gets stabbed with a unicorn. and like as he's getting killed, and then one of the girls finally get up in the attic, and that's when we were talking about earlier, like the Christmas tree with like the eyeball lights, and there's all the heads, and the girl with the bag over her head in the rocking chair in the back corner. That's from the original movie as well. And like as they come up, they see Kyle's body, and like the sister standing over, like the Agnes standing over him, like eating the eyeballs. And that's another like zoom in on the mouth, squishy noise scene for you. That's 2 in this movie, and you still have this movie. I couldn't believe what I was watching, because I was like, now I'm grossed out. That doesn't even bother me as much as it bothers you. Because when we were at work years ago, I used to send you videos on YouTube of somebody eating noodles. Because we're good friends.
Yeah, well, at least you were kind enough to go, hey man, I brought pasta in today and it's pretty soupy. You might want to put your headphones on while I eat lunch. All right, fair enough, man. Appreciate the heads up.
Yeah. So we've got Agnes and Billy, and then they're all up in the attic, and then it's this big fight with Leah being the half sister, and Kelly being Katie Cassidy, pretty much the main character's character. And Leah falls through the I love when she like steps wrong in the attic and like falls halfway through the floor. That'd have been my out, man. Like, oh, good, I can get the fuck out of this attic and leave. And like, but like Katie was trying to like pull her back up. I'd be like, no, let go. I want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with falling. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm good.
She finally,
whatever's down there is better than what's up here.
Yeah, she finally falls, and then Kelly's left to fight off everybody, and then there's the Christmas tree, and it falls, and like Kelly falls down like in between the walls where they were. I think Agnes gets pushed first, like over the edge, and she's all the way to the bottom, and then Kelly falls, and she falls like down one floor and catches herself, and then Billy's at the top, and then like Billy's trying to come over, and Agnes is coming up from the bottom, and it's just this whole like you have both the bad guys coming towards her in the middle, and like and then Leah's like breaking the wall to pull her out, and then like there's also on top of that like a flaming Christmas tree from the attic that was up there with all the eyeballs on it. Like it's slowly moving towards the edge because it's being pulled by Christmas lights.
Yep.
I mean, it's like this whole crazy cacophony of like all this shit happening, like Billy climbing down, Agnes climbing up, and then Leah trying to bust the wall out, and they get her out right in time, and like Kelly starts like putting, I don't know what it was, I forget what it was some sort of cleaner that was flammable, but she's like dousing on the floor. I was like, dump that shit in the hole, throw it in there on them.
Yeah, right.
So the tree falls, and she lights that. So Billy's burning. Agnes is somewhere like down lower. So we find out later she wasn't really bothered by it. I mean, then they run out of the house, right? That's pretty much it. I mean, for that part of it, they just rush outside.
Because basically the girls get away and hightail it. Then it kind of cuts to the hospital. Yeah,
and Kelly's in the hospital in the hospital bed, and Leah's there. She has her present that her half sister had bought her. It's a little watch that says has like Family Forever engraved on the back of it. And then, when the nurse came in and was talking about the X-rays, like they had her in such shadow and like she had kind of a weird voice anyways. I was like, oh, is that going to be Agnes? I was like, is that going to be like the sister? I thought she was, the way they did it, I almost thought it was like another one of those like red herrings. Like, could this be her?
Oh, yeah. Like she's already made it into the hospital.
Yeah. I mean, because honestly, it almost reminded me of, and this is really going to date me, but like if you ever watched wrestling, the famous scene where Steve Austin, when McMahon is in the bed, like in the hospital from being injured, quote unquote, during one of the fights with Steve Austin, and like Steve Austin is like in full nurse garb with like the mask over his face and everything, and then he's like, Don't worry, doctor, I've got it. And then he turns around and starts beating the hell out of Vince McMahon and like grabs like a bedpan and like makes this. He hits Vince McMahon in the head with the bedpan so perfectly that it makes this dong that is like resonated throughout the history and will always go down in the lore of the WWE. Like when he hits him, it's just the greatest like over the top scene. It's what made the Attitude Era of wrestling just why I'm so glad that's when I watched it. It was great. It just kind of the only reason is because it was a nurse in this scene. I was like, oh, is it gonna be the bad guy like already in there? But it wasn't. They were talking about having to do x-rays or whatever. So Leah goes back in there, the half sister goes back in there later to look for Kelly, but she's already gone. Or no, there's a blonde person in the bed, but we already know she's gone because they took her for x-rays. And it's Agnes. Agnes kills Leah, and then Kelly comes back in the room, knows something's wrong. She finds the watch with blood on it, like a little bit of blood, and then like Agnes grabs her and they struggle. She defibrillates her face, like with a defibrillator, which is awesome. And then has she already seen the blood in the? Yeah. So even before Agnes grabs her, there's like blood like leaking into the overhead lighting. Like these people are all about using like the attics to put like the above to put people in, like bodies.
Dude, they just must have like just amazing upper body strength.
Well, that and those. I mean, I understand an old house attic, but those like standard, where you run your cabling so you have a drop ceiling. That's not meant to hold body weight. It's not meant to hold that much mass.
Yeah, no.
So
you would have to lay so spread out perfectly across like the angles to hope that it may support you.
Yeah.
So. Like on a whim, but yeah, you can't just go, all right, there's a $135 going up there.
True. So apparently that's when she zaps Agnes, that's where the UK version ends. Like that's what it says in the notes on IMDb. So I guess they were supposed to be if you're in the UK, you're supposed to be led to believe that Billy died in the fire, Agnes died in the hospital, game over,
or Billy
could be alive there. Yeah. But so in the US version, as she's leaving, Billy he does that cool silent lower himself into the room behind her, like from his secret hidey hole in the ceiling, like he lowers himself in there, and then the chase ensues and she gets chased out, and then
first she breaks out of the room, and then she beats the fuck out of him with a crutch.
Well, she hits him with a crutch, but then throws the crutch on top of him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, she hits him with the crutch, and then while he's down, instead of repeatedly mauling this individual, she just throws the crutch at him, who then he proceeds to trip her with it.
Exactly, but she does get a good line in there. Merry Christmas, motherfucker. And then so there's a chase down the hall, and he's burnt, like he's got half his face is burned up pretty bad.
Yeah, he's not feeling great about himself right now.
Yeah, and then she crashed into an orderly who's pushing around a large table full of knives, of scalpels and shit. He's like, here comes the scalpel delivery guy, just pushing the cart through at the exact right time. And Billy grabs a scalpel off of it, and the fact that the guy who's pushing the cart doesn't get killed the process. I was expecting to like do like a running, like cut across that guy's throat, like on the way to her just to kill somebody else for the hell of it. But
yeah, he's like just going to up this body count. Yeah. But no, apparently he's only got a thing for people in the house.
True. So the fight with her ends up at a stairwell that looks over like the main lobby of the hospital. And she blocks.
That's got a giant Christmas tree in it.
Right, with a giant pointy top of the tree. The star at the top is whatever's at the top is like if you think about like the bulb with the cone at the top of it to go to a point, that's what it's on the top of that tree. But yeah, the fight with the little scalpel happens for like 3 seconds, and then she just tosses his ass over the edge of the balcony, and he impales himself on the tree.
Yeah. Like, she uses his momentum, I guess, and then he just goes overboard.
Yep.
And gets just impaled by this tree. Like, not even in like a bad impaling, like right through the middle, just tore everything up that would be on the, like, all your soft bits that you can kind of feel, that's where the hole is.
Yep, and all those soft bits all those internal soft bits are now external soft bits all over the top of that tree.
That is correct.
There is no coming back from that, Billy. Sorry. There is no two. But yeah, and that's the movie. That's how it ends for us. I mean, a $9 million movie, that was the budget, made $21 million in the theaters, and it's considered a flop. I don't know why. It tripled its budget. What else do you want from it? I mean, what are you expecting to do for $9 million? They did a great job with $9 million, to be honest. So, good pick, Corey. I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie, man. I think, like,
I give it like a 6.5 or 7. It's not like the greatest thing ever, but it's a fun watch.
I'd probably give it a 7.
It's not a 1 or a 3 or a 5 like on the places that the review sites. That's dumb. Mm-hmm. It's a good horror flick. It wraps up nicely.
Yeah, I think it's got a little bit of everything. There's some jump scares. There's some legit gore. Like, there's that someone's in my house feeling. Like I liked it. Obviously, I fucking picked it.
True. And I think it was a good, you could tell the director/writer liked the original movie, enough to bring in actors and directors from that movie to work on the film itself, or at least to be part of it, and also paid homage to certain aspects that he could without making it look dated.
Yeah.
So I thought it was well done. Rarely do you see a remake or a retelling of a story that I think does it as well as this one did.
Well said.
Well, that's good enough. We've talked everybody's ear off. We've talked a lot more about things other than Black Christmas. That's okay. Next week, it's what?
Final Girls.
Everybody watch Final Girls and then show up next week.
Or is it Finals?
It's Final Girls. Because the whole point of the movie is to be with the final girl. They want to find the final girl because they need.
All right.
Which, by the way, in the trailer where they're like, "Oh, she saw the final girl," like the girl like drives her car into something and blows up. They're like, "Oh, damn it!"
Yeah,
that's all I know from the trailer. So we'll see. But yeah, thank you everybody for hanging on this long. We know we love our long-winded podcast. We like to talk a lot. We pretty much just turn a mic on and just start yapping. That's how we do it. Yep. We just yap like this anyways.
That's exactly the formula.
So check us out on social media. Follow us, subscribe, like us, share us with your friends, and we'll catch you guys next week.
See you guys.